Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast, episode 188. Welcome to Raging Bullets. I'm Sean Whalen, drnorge on the comic forums, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Jim. Something has been bothering me all week. I couldn't decide what it was. I thought about it day and night, with knowledge I did seek. Then it came to me, my head began to buzz. I was jealous of the Olympian, being able to wear Wonder Woman's clothes. So I decided to fix this problem. An idea I do propose. I will craft my own Black Canary outfit. I think I can pull off the fishnet hose. So says the sensei of the whatnot, Segulin and the Duke of you-know.
How's it going, eh? Oh my god, dude. And yes, I know there's going to be some where's whatnot nows on that one.
Wonder Woman has been absolutely fabulous.
God.
And that's one of many books.
Yes.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm not going to go through the complete list of everything we're going to talk about this episode because I think we've got way too much to discuss. A couple things I can guarantee for sure. Wonder Woman. We're going to be talking JSA, the most recent JSA issue, and JSA All Stars.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of other stuff that we're going to be getting to over the next two shows, so we're going to kind of see where this episode goes as we record it. But please check the show notes, and you'll find out exactly what we're going to be discussing, because it's really, really packed, this one. Jim, we are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network and the League of Comic Book Podcasts. You can also hear us on Get Your Geek On Radio, GetYourGeekOnRadio.com, an online radio station committed to making geek chic. I want to talk real quick about the Raging Oscars 2009. You and I have been talking about this one, and we wanted to change it up a little bit because...
Mix it up a bit.
Well, there's certain categories that when we keep doing them, obviously, you know, my favorite writer and things like that, overall is not going to change. I mean, it could, but conceivably, I think pretty much so with the year, we've made it pretty clear, I've made it pretty clear that my favorite writer is Gail Simone. Yeah. So, I mean... I thought it'd be fun to discuss, and we'll talk about stuff like that on the episode, but I thought it would be more fun to leave it a little bit more open-ended for you and me. Rather than announcing formal categories, Jim and I are going to chat about an award, favorite creators, books, characters, moments, trends, and announcements from 2009. So we can kind of go all over the place, and things that we really want to spotlight throughout the year that have happened, I want to throw on there, rather than kind of limiting ourselves to categories. I think... with that open-ended nature of it, you and I are both going to come to the table with some very different things, and it'll make for a much more interesting discussion. We also want to shout out hopes and wishes for 2010. We encourage you guys to do the same. This will be the topic of one of our first episodes of 2010. Please send your thoughts to either senseiofwhatnot@gmail.com, or you can voicemail our voicemail line at 1-440-388-4434, or drnorge on Skype. So... any of those options, please send those in by December 31st. That way we've got all that stuff gathered together. It's going to be one of the first two episodes of 2010. We'll be discussing our Raging Oscars, talking about the 2009 and what we hope for in 2010. So good stuff. But I want some participation. It'll be great to have listener content as well. Jim, our sponsors for this episode are DCBService.com and InStockTrades.com. DCB Service's new books aren't up yet. But this is my favorite time of the month because every day I'm literally checking the website to see what the deals are going to be. Because there's usually hardcovers and things like, just for example, I've been collecting the Saga of the Swamp Thing, the Alan Moore stuff, in hardcover. I've got the first two of them. I'm anxious to see when the new one of that's going to come out. Preacher, I'm anxiously awaiting the second volume of that. So, you know, for hardcovers and things like that, I love to pre-order them. But also the monthly book discounts. You know, there's especially with Blackest Night, there's lots of crossovers coming out. So it's great to get those at a discount and kind of follow and make sure I've got all of these books coming. And it's great to see stuff that's up to 75% off. It's great. Yeah. So I look forward to this time of the month to see what kind of deals I can get. But also collected editions. Those are a biggie, and that's why I did point that out. That's, for me, that's a big... and Vertigo has those original crime novels that I've been getting as well. I've been getting all those. And I wouldn't be buying those if I couldn't get them at 50% off. So DCB Service is actually keeping me buying some of the things that I really, really enjoy that I probably have to purge otherwise. So thank you, DCBService.com, for the great deals that you offer each month. InStockTrades.com. Jim, we have the formal announcement now. Ken Harris chosen his book. This is January's Rage of the Month. When we're done with Preacher, we'll take a few weeks off. We'll do our Raging Oscars and stuff like that. And midway through January, we will begin discussing JLA versus the Avengers.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I'm really excited for this one.
Looking forward to that one.
This once-in-a-lifetime crossover that brought two super teams together and rocked the comics world is at last available in trade paperback. Own the entire 4-issue co-publishing event between DC and Marvel, and written by Kurt Busiek, with stunning art by George Perez. This collection also features introductions by the original Avengers writer and editor Stan Lee and Justice League of America editor Julius Schwartz. So, I mean, that's some great stuff.
Yeah.
That's regularly $19.99 for that trade paperback, 47% off at InStockTrades.com, only $10.59. 208 pages. That's going to be a big event.
Outstanding.
I'm excited, though, because it'll give us a chance to talk some DC and Marvel characters on the show, which will be fun for us. It'll be a nice little mix-up. So that's going to be in January. We're going to have that discussion. And as I said before, our voicemail line, that's 1-440-388-4434, or Dr. Norge on Skype. If you're doing stuff for the Raging Oscars, please make sure to do a separate phone call if you want to talk about some more current topics, because I'll be saving those Raging Oscar voicemails, obviously, for January when we actually have that discussion. So kind of cool for that. Jim, comicsforsight.com for John Ostrander.
Yes.
The charity auctions that have been going on there. Gail Simone on her Facebook started announcing there's all kinds of auctions up there, so I went and bid on one. I got an Aquaman page from Chris Batista.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
that was a nice one. I saw that thing.
Yeah, so I'm like, I love Aquaman. I think it would be really cool to have an Aquaman. So I'm now going to be able to get that and frame it and have it on my wall here. So it's cool. there's a couple things I want to get. I mentioned I want to get a Nicholas Scott one. That's not, I don't think they have anything on that site for it, but I'm excited that I got to participate in a charity event, donate something for John Ostrander, and get myself an original page of artwork for my wall that looks really sharp, so it's cool. There's a ton of things on there. I'm also eyeing Freddy's
Superman.
Did you see that?
I saw that thing.
Doesn't that look good?
That looks very good.
So they have a ton of eBay auctions running right now, but if you're like, I don't know if I want to participate in the auctions, one of the great things is on that site there's the option to donate via PayPal. So if you want to donate and be a part of the cause, you can make a small donation, a large donation, whatever you want to make donation-wise. Every little bit helps. So please don't think that, like, my donation's too small, I can't help. All of that adds together. If all of our listeners donated a small donation to this, we'd make a huge impact. So we ask you to please consider it's comicsforsight.com. You're helping out John Ostrander. This is a great comic creator. If you read the most recent issue of Secret Six, that brilliant Deadshot issue, you got to help this guy out. And he's got the upcoming Suicide Squad crossover. I'm excited for this. So it's comics4site.com, and it's in our show notes as well. So wanted to shout that out. Jim, what kind of a podcast are we? We're talking a whole bunch of stuff this episode.
Well, Sean, we are a spoiler podcast. We go in-depth in the plot line, story twists, and whatnot of the comics we're reviewing. So if we're going over something you haven't read, you may want to come back later so you can better enjoy the show.
Yeah, and definitely check the show notes on what we're going to be discussing. But let's go ahead and kick off with Wonder Woman.
To the Batmobile. Let's go.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Here, ready to move up.
Jim, actually, before we kick into Wonder Woman, you said we have an email.
Yeah, I got an email, and I got a really big, huge thank yous to a couple people. First off, of course, is Shadow Dragon, who sent me the email and gave me a link. It's Newsarama. They're talking about the rebooting of the Medal of Honor with a modern setting, and it was in the comments at the bottom of it. Different people talking about it, and there was a couple people who weren't happy with it. And one of the people who... screen name is What You Talking About, Willis? Which I absolutely love that name, by the way.
Okay.
Had this to say. I hear you, Captain Unpossible. To quote the great Jim Seguin, that's not a military haircut.
Oh, God.
Outstanding. And not only that, you get that for that. I'm like, I got email that. I was like, oh my God. I started hooping and hollering and cheering. So thank you very much. I threw out real names, but I honestly only know screen names. And I tried to send comments on Newsarama, and I don't know if there's a way you can send a private message, or I would have. But what you talking about, Willis? You rock, dude. Thank you very much.
That's a fictional comment, though. They called you the great Jim Seguin. No, that's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
That's because that's funny.
Yes.
Because it so totally fits one of your like little quirky things with
Yes.
the regulation haircuts. That's funny. That's really good. Do you play any of those games?
No. So I have no idea what they're
You
actually...
love them. That's why
I know.
It just dawned on me because I do.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, whoa. I haven't gotten the new one that just came out, but as I was thinking about that one, I'm like, I'm surprised Jim doesn't play those games.
Yeah, I probably would love the thing and probably go crazy over it.
Yeah. Especially on your computer, I'm surprised
Yeah.
you didn't, because I do know you prefer like the mouse and keyboard to the controller. So I'm really surprised you haven't. I think that is available for the computer. I play most of that stuff on my PS3, but I don't know.
I think it is. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I got to tell you, Wonder Woman, and I want to talk about Wonder Woman number 38, but I've got to tell you, this is a book that now is firmly locked in my top 5.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Big time.
I could not drop this book.
No.
Because it's kind of wavered, not because of quality, it's because there's so many great books. And my love for Batman and stuff going on with Superman and things like that right now. Secret Six has been, from Gail Simone and Nicholas Scott, in my top 5 locked. That's my favorite book. That's the one, if I had to go down to one, Secret Six would be it right now. But as I look through my top 5, and I always kind of like, if you had to cut down to 5, what books would you do? And it's always interesting. Wonder Woman's there now, firmly. This issue I was looking at, and I'm like, ooh, man, was this good?
I know.
The cover, I wanted to see where this went, because now I'm doing what you did. Last issue.
Now you're doing a whatnot.
I know, I am doing that. Last issue, we saw that Diana was kind of stripped of everything associated with Wonder Woman because of the law on Themyscira. This politics, this political move by Alcyon of the Circle, it's really deep, and I love the way that this is playing off with the Olympian and her, and I mean, it's just a great, great book, and this was an issue I was firmly waiting for.
I know. This issue right here is one of the reasons, if you ever wonder why Sean and I love Gail Simone writing so much, pick up this issue, and you will completely understand why we gush about her. Just, this had action, it had some really sweet story things that, it took me a couple reading, like, oh my god, this is the whole plan all along. Oh, this is sweet. It was a lot of just, action, as you said, some political intrigue, definitely heavy on that, but it wasn't so heavy that you're like sitting there going, and the law says, no, it's right here, blended in, meshed in with the action, and just some really, really awesome artwork. I tell you, this was a beautiful book, as well as, once again, meshing of a creative team that is just outstanding. Aaron Lopresti, the full creative team, completely right on jive with Gail Simone's writing. This was, once again, another just bam, out of the ballpark.
I could actually name my top 5 now of what they would be right now if I had to go to them.
Ooh.
My top 5 would be Secret Six, Wonder Woman, Batman and Robin, because I'm loving Batman and Robin. If I had to go to only 5, Justice Society of America and JSA All Stars. I liked All Stars so much, the initial issue, that I'm like, oh, I love that whole... It's finally getting... The JSA now, it's kind of organically worked its way to finally getting back to feeling like JSA again. And that's not an insult to what this team's been doing before. They've been building to this, and I've felt the build all the way through. JSA All Stars out of the gate. So if I had to go to 5 books right now, that's what they would be. And I feel very comfortable saying that at the moment. And that's no insult to a lot of the books that I'm cutting out of there, because I'm loving the Superman books. I'm loving the Batman titles right now. That would be hard for me to cut down to those 5, but I could do that if I would be very uncomfortable doing it. But if I had to, that's what it would be, budget-wise.
Yeah, I'd sell blood first.
I would too. I'd sell your blood first, and then I'd work to mine. But if I had to do that, every so often I like to start thinking about, boy, if I had to...
If you had to cut, what would get cut? And
because we haven't done top bullets in so long, and right now those are my top 5 books. Those are the ones that are just blowing me out of the water. So that's interesting. Could you cut down to 5 now? I mean, could you put in a top 5 right now? They don't have to be the same.
Right off the top of my head, probably not. I'd have to actually. I would honestly have to really think hard and heavy about it. Definitely Wonder Woman's in the top 5. Secret Six is there too. The hard part I would run into is the giving up the Superman titles.
Oh, I would too. That would be incredibly difficult, because I think they're fantastic.
Because I probably would take, I'm going to say 6. Wonder Woman definitely are there too, because I'm going by the assumption that I can't borrow from you. Yeah. for some reason I'm in another state and I have a top 5. That's what I'm going by, because if I was going by the assumption I could borrow from you, everything in your top 5
I will say
would be
this,
one thing.
I will say this right now. I guarantee if you and I could borrow from each other,
we would.
If we could only go to 5, we would have to borrow from each other, because that would give us 10 books.
Yeah, because that would be. I would do the opposite side and say, you know, but if
but we can't do that at the moment.
Assuming
because,
not, you know, definitely, you know, agreeing with you on Secret Six and Wonder Woman. Those are definitely locked in there for me. I'm thinking action.
Yeah, good choice.
And I think I'm probably going to go with Core, Green Lantern Core, and All Stars.
You know what book I would have a tough time cutting, too? All the Green Lantern books, of course, obviously. But you know what else I would have a tough time cutting? Supergirl. I love Supergirl.
I know.
I think she's a great character, but it's funny. And I'm getting a little off track here, but it was interesting when I went through that. I'm like, well, let me think through my head. What would my top 5 be now if I'm going to do the other 2? Because it doesn't really hold much meaning if I'm just randomly throwing that out without actually labeling that there is a top 5.
And it's funny, as I go on, I'm thinking, you know, maybe because I'm only getting Core, I maybe would feel a little bit something. So maybe I would go with Justice League instead of Core. But then I'm like, wait, you know what? Titans. Ooh, can I pass on Titan? So that's so that
and see, I'm loving
that
Justice
Green Lantern
League.
Corps could probably get dropped in Teen Titans.
Justice League's
Maybe
James Robinson too, and I have a lot of confidence in where that's going to go, because I know we're getting to that point. You know, with it's got the Blackest Night crossover going in right now, and then there's that Cry for Justice mini that's eventually leading us to getting a strong core team back in that book, and I'm excited for that team. But that tells you how much JSA. And how important JSA is to me at this stage. Those characters are the flagship characters in a team book for me at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with you, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk All Stars this episode, because and
Cry for Justice. I do want to talk about that huge event.
Time.
So we're gonna have to get to some of these things. Let's get back to Wonder Woman though. This opening with her, I returned to a place I used to call home to save my mother because of him, Ares. Even from the grave, he taunts and boasts and poisons. I came here to stop his destruction of Themyscira, possibly too late. Instead, I have been stripped, shamed, and imprisoned. Night falls on the princess of Themyscira. I seem to have lost everything I ever cherished. My island, my weapons, my family, my potential mate. As I'm looking at this, I'm just like, oh, first of all, breathtaking artwork. Shading, tone, colors, she feels alone and introspective in those moments. Just a great mood opening, but the dialogue matched with that. So totally lays out not only where this character is now, but where she has come from to get to this point. And I love character-driven storytelling. I care about her deeply. She's a wonderfully cool character. We talked on Comic Timing, their upcoming 100th episode, about universally iconic characters. And what we meant by that was we were talking about characters that everybody outside of comics would know. People that on the street, if you were passing Joe Schmo and you started saying, who are superheroes? Tell me who are superheroes that you identify. And one of the things that we felt that was sad was the top female superhero that's most visually recognizable easily, Wonder Woman, without a doubt. Her costume, the whole look, everything. I think the bracelets are universally recognizable, and
the lasso.
But the big problem I have is, and I think it's a crying shame that this character is not in the media more, because she is a character who I don't think people get what she's all about. I don't think they see what we see when we read this book. And I think she is a character, it's a travesty that she's not in a movie yet. I don't know why that's so stuck in development hell, but it needs to come out of it.
Yeah.
Because I think with mythology, when you got games like God of War and stuff like that that are bringing in mythology and they sell so well, a character so steeped in it like she is would be so darn cool. No matter how many times they do the original contest that she goes through, when they redo her origin, whether it's from the original TV series with Linda Carter, that opening pilot of her from that show was absolutely brilliant. Straight on through to the comics, the various times that they've redone it in the comics. Straight on through to that animated feature of her where they did it there. Her origin story, you could redo that on screen again and make it darn cool. But not only that, she is a character who translates very well to being written in a number of different time periods. From World War II time to present day. there's so many different kinds of stories you can do with Wonder Woman. New Frontier is a great example of how they've used that character in a wonderful, wonderful way, which is translated well to comic books and to animated feature. So Diana not being
out there, she should be. She could very easily be the next, Smallville type. Showing, you open up with her on, with the contest. Yeah. Her coming to, New York or coming to Washington, D.C. is a great setting for her. And just show her introduction into the world and getting adjusted to it, getting used to it, and all that type of, the thing. And even if you wanted to make it a period piece, make it World War II. Make it the classic story with World War II. That would be a neat thing as well, because you'd get something extra. It wouldn't just be this cool story of her, becoming Wonder Woman. It would be about her learning the world, getting adjusted to the world. Plus, you can make it a nice
modern day that works as well.
Yeah, modern day
because
also.
I mean, you see it here in this book throughout every issue. How she is somebody who comes from a different culture, a different belief set, a different sense of law and morality, and looks at our world objectively that way. We see our world through her eyes, and she could fix so many of our problems because she can look at it in a way we can't because we're so entrenched in it. She can look at it and see flaws in our system and easy ways to fix them. That is the interesting thing about her. And I think that does become a frustration for her because of the sheer number of us. How do you reach them all? And there is that kind of compassionate ambassador in her, besides the strong warrior that I love. And it's just one of the cool things about the character. So when I look at her and see her in these moments, you see her in a very vulnerable place, yet there's still a strength about her. And it comes from that coolness of the character that we're talking about right now. She never loses that strength in her vulnerability, and I love that.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it's not just about the physical imprisonment happening to her.
No.
It is about everything that's happening to the island. It's about, what they're doing to her people. That is actually the bigger, if you will, dagger to her. Then take her title, strip her of all of what that she was, but if it was saving her people, she would accept it. But it's everything. She's lost everything, and I love just seeing that about her, especially where this ends, the way this issue ends up. It's kind of a cool moment for me.
Who is Artemis to you?
Who is Artemis to me?
Mm-hmm.
A really cool character.
But I mean, what is your as far as you as a reader, what is your understanding of Artemis? Who is she?
See, I know very little about it. I just think of her as an Amazon who is one of the... I didn't even realize she was Banna, or any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. I thought she was just... she was an Amazon. She was like one of the captain of the guards or something like that. She was like one of the... I always heard the name Artemis, but I never knew her history. Mm-hmm. Like when we talked about the contest, I really didn't know she had adopted the mantle of Wonder Woman for a period there. I didn't know that any of that stuff until you actually told me about it.
The contest and the challenge of Artemis,
right.
They're out of print right now. They deeply need to come back into print. Those were just wonderful stories featuring this character where she took over the role of Wonder Woman. And to just see, because she is so different than Diana. You see that here on the page.
Yeah.
And their relationship, I love that history is still there. You can feel that these two know each other and that Diana knows and respects the differences of Artemis, but also understands some of the limitations of the differences of Artemis. And I like that, though. She's not just another Amazon. There is something different about Artemis. There is a personality, a way she carries herself. We saw it in Secret Six. You see it here. This is a character who is nailed in this book.
And it's funny because as you're talking, I'm thinking, for me, I would see her, if she were to become Wonder Woman, she would be like the Asbat. The Azrael Batman, a little bit harder edged, a little bit more violent, less of the detective, less of the politician, more of that hardcore Amazonian warrior who is going to kick your butt as opposed to give you the chance, extend the olive branch and, come to an understanding. She's going to beat you into submission. That's kind of how I see Artemis, and it's very limited experience in dealing with her, but it was just this really cool. I saw her in Secret Six, saw the stuff she went through. I saw her here. I was like, yes, this is wonderful. The fact that, we're getting her, and one, it's a nod back to Secret Six saying, hey, you pulled me out of the fire. I'm here to return the favor.
Right.
It's that whole warrior code type thing. It's,
shared universe. There's
Yes.
a continuity here. It's all the, and I love that she wrote both of those stories because it does flow in here. And if you didn't see that, if you didn't read Secret Six, but you read Wonder Woman, they give you enough here to let you know, hey, you've saved me. This is why I'm here for you. There is a motivation here. It's a code of honor.
And it's not just the one-up, hey, I owe you here. It is for the betterment of Themyscira. She knows that Alcyon and the Circle...
She's disgusted.
Yeah, they've butchered what is Themyscira.
Right.
They completely just tainted it, and it's destroyed, and she needs her princess to rise up and bring down, the fake queen. And I love the fact that it's not just about, hey, you help me, I'm going to help you. It's about for the good of her people. And this is actually how earlier Diana was like, everything's been taken from me, and we find out later why she doesn't actually leave the prison, why she doesn't break out. It's
Let's just go there.
It's because they're holding, Hippolyta, and if she steps out of the jail, one step, Hippolyta's dead, so she can't do that to protect her mother. And I think that is just this whole cool code and conduct. Now, to Artemis, she's like, hey, we got to do what we got to do. You got to step up. You got to take care of her. You got to do it. And I think that's just a cool just nature of who she is. You asked me earlier who she was, and it was like, I'm trying to figure out the nice way to say she's a really tough lady who is awesome, but it's, she is that hardcore warrior.
That's the nice way of saying it.
Yeah, it took me a minute to think out of it,
because I got a funny feeling of probably the 10 other things you want to say.
Yes, and they're all flattering to her.
Yes, yeah, right.
But it's, not polite. Not public.
One of the things that I like about her, though, is there is a sense, of outrage, moral outrage.
Yes.
She's got a code. She's hard-edged. She is not clean. We always think of Diana, Diana's a true princess in the sense that I think of Diana as very clean, very beautiful, very...
Noble.
She's
very
noble.
regal.
There is a regal nobility to her. Artemis, dirty.
Yeah.
Hard-edged. She's gotten down in the trenches. I respect that about her. She sees things very much black and white, doesn't see shades of gray. Her sense of what is black and white is very different than Diana's, which is interesting because you can have a morality of right and wrong without, Artemis is a lot more willing to... see things as right than Diana would as far as when it comes to violent interaction and murdering and killing. And
with Artemis, I just want to say, hoorah! It's hardcore Marine right there.
Well, you know what it would be? Here's the difference. Let's go back to the old Max Lord thing. Diana twisted Max Lord's head around and had a lot of trouble dealing with afterwards who she was becoming as she was heading down that path. Artemis would have twisted his head off, and it'd probably be... Well, she's not much for ceremony, so it wouldn't be on display somewhere.
No. She would have just gone, done.
And maybe kicked it.
Yeah, that would have been done.
And had no remorse. Because... And just, she does have a code there, because she would have felt it was the right thing to do by her moral standards. There is a different sense of morality here between the two. And honor. She gives her that knife as a sense of honor, saying, if you aren't going to come out and fight like an Amazon, at least die like one. Do not let them take that from you. And that is interesting because I don't see Diana ever handing somebody a knife and saying... that same line.
Oh, God, no.
But yet I do think she respects Artemis in that moment, even though she says not exactly the person, at first this was the person she wanted to have because Artemis will be honest with you and blunt without, she does not apologize for who she is, but Diana in this case is like, kind of, maybe you could have sugarcoated that a little bit, honey. And I love that.
And the other thing I did chuckle about when Diana's like, weren't there guards? Like, yeah, only 3 men.
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
And the venom when she talks about men, how they are a lesser form of life.
Yeah. And I'll agree with her,
Now, this is where it gets interesting, because when the Olympian was first brought into the scene, it really felt like he was being posed as a villain. And I love how over time, as we've gotten to know this character, it's not that simple. He is misguided, but he's not a villain. He was created to be a champion for Zeus, and he's realizing right now that nothing that he is going through, his hooking up with her, he's been kind of manipulated. Not kind of, he's been heavily manipulated.
Yeah, he learns the hard way that you got to be careful when you choose your wife.
Mm-hmm. He is a king who has no power.
Yeah, and I loved reading that because Amazonian law does not allow for a king; it only allows for a queen.
Yeah.
So sure enough, you got no power, dude.
Yeah, you are a figurehead.
Yeah, and I loved that, and I thought
on display.
Never once did that even enter my mind that she was going to do that. I figured, she was, when the whole power play started with her, siding up with him, I figured, okay, yeah, she's going to use this to her advantage. But it never even dawned on me that, hello, there's only a queen here. There's not a king. You're a nothing. Because I figured there would be new laws written and all that. Like, no, they've been living on the basic of the same laws, and guess what, buddy? You're out.
It is funny. Alkion is, since her inception in this book, has just been an incredibly interesting character. This bit where she's grabbing the roses. She grabs the roses and squeezes them by the thorns to the point where we've got blood dripping down her hand. This is somebody who is going through an intense amount of inner turmoil. She is enraged and angry by the affront to... In her mind, she deeply believes right now that there have been atrocities put onto Themyscira. And she is fighting against them. She believes she's fighting the good fight, deep down.
Oh, yeah. That's the interesting thing about her is she thinks this is the right thing to do.
Right.
And it's kind of like the whole Lex Luthor story, where Lex is like looking for this to save humanity from the evil alien. She's thinking the same thing, but it's the way you execute your plan that's the problem. You have the good intentions of bringing back the Amazons, bringing back your Amazonian code and their way of life, their Paradise Island. Let's bring back Paradise Island. Well, the way she's bringing back paradise, it's, paradise, at the price of blood. And it's like, can you truly have paradise if you've sacrificed so much life, so much, is paradise, on the other side of death and destruction? And that's, it's a cool just notion of she's wrong, but in her mind, she's not evil. And that's ever since her introduction that we've seen her, she's had this, common, trend going through her and who she is. I think that's just it's the evolution of a villain. And I really hope when this is said and done, she's not dead. I hope we can bring her back again, for future stuff, because she is just that great
The whole circle, the concept of the circle.
Yeah, well, kind of, almost all of the circle.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other problem. Right? I started naming the statues. The Bears V'ger, the Lions Decker unit, motion picture from Star Trek.
Yeah, I hear
She's got that Aliyah thing going on with the head. It's funny when she puts on
the crown.
She starts looking like Aliyah with that little flower thing on her head. She's DC Universe's Aliyah.
Oh.
She's got as much of a sense of humor as Aliyah had.
Yeah. No, actually, she's got a pretty good sense of humor. I kind of chuckled at some of her stuff.
Yeah, that's true too. We chuckled at Aliyah too, though.
Yeah. The other thing, though, I did like is when she's talking about the execution of Diana. It's not just about killing off her enemy. It's about, there are people who are loyal to Diana. They're loyal to Hippolyta, who will never allow for the Olympian rule. Who will never allow for their current leadership structure. Death of Diana will, well, in her mindset, will kind of bring about the change. And I kind of liked seeing that it's not just about killing her enemy.
But that even is her putting up a smokescreen.
Right.
Because as the issue progresses, we get to see that she's got a deeper plan here.
Yeah.
And she still sees herself as a patriot. Yeah. And I think that we need to talk about that right now, even though I know that's jumping ahead a little bit. But that is one of the interesting things about what she's doing here. She is a multi-layered character who sets up a deep-rooted plan and totally snows the Olympian.
She sets up a beautiful plan. She knows the execution of Diana will bring out, people like Artemis and people who are loyal, all these loyalists to Hippolyta and loyalists to Diana. She knows that's going to enrage them. Now, what's going to happen? They're going to fight, and who are they going to fight? They're going to fight the Olympians. So now you're going to have the Artemis clan killing the Olympian clan, or the Olympians killing Artemis's people. Either way, both the two groups she wants gone will be dead. And I love that.
And that is the interesting thing here. She really wants the males off the island.
Yeah. This is about, she wants it back to the way it was. She wants the restoring of Paradise Island before the dragon. Before, Wonder Woman was ever brought on, ever came to be. She wants her dead and gone. But not only that, the people, because she was talking about how the Amazons still look at her like the baby, look at her as the child that they need to nurture and strengthen and guard and guide. So she's got to get rid of those Amazons as well. And that, for me, is the twisting of her belief and want and desires in paradise. She's willing to sacrifice her sisters, who their only crime is the fact that they, follow their queen and follow their princess, for her vision of what paradise is. Now, to be honest, I would agree with her that paradise would be a truly, it probably was a pure utopia on Themyscira, just the way their society was. And I even like how when later on when she's talking to Donna, she invokes how everything was paradise before her. Once she came about, we started getting invaded. We started getting pulled into these wars. We were hunted down. We were killed. It ruined. It was the truly end of their society. And honestly, you got to think about it. It was. Once there was Wonder Woman, once Wonder Woman went out there, that got people looking for Themyscira. That got people looking for this Paradise Island, and that did bring down a lot of problems.
And is there responsibility to their world? Or is there a greater responsibility to be leaders to show the rest of the world the better way to life? And that's two different philosophies, because the reason why she went out was to be the ambassador, to show them a better way of life, to interact with their world to in some way better it. But has it done that? And I mean, you could make an interesting argument in that case. Is she's still fighting the good fight? Is it helping? Has it done what it's supposed to do? And that's what I love about it, because I think my opinion is Diana did absolutely the right thing. Hippolyta did the right thing. This was the right move to make. But I could see groups of people on Themyscira siding the other way.
It's interesting because one of the things I always, when I start thinking about this stuff with Diana, with the Amazons, with going out there, I do think a little bit about U.S. U.S. politics, especially with our usage.
Versus liberals.
Yeah, conservative versus liberals, but it's also just, the U.S. military will go out to, various countries, and some will call it invasion, some will call it, liberation. Others say, no, we're there to protect the people from oppression. We're, the liberators of the oppressed. No, you're not. You're the invaders. You're the conquerors. And there's this huge debate that goes on in the world as well as at home, whether take current wars we're at, Afghanistan, Iraq. Should we be there? No, we shouldn't. Yes, we should. I'm not going to even get into the argument where we should be, but if you look at both sides' arguments, you just sit back, you take your emotions out of it, which is very, very difficult to do, and you look and you see what each one's saying. The people who are pro-war usually aren't saying, yeah, let's kill them all, let God sort them out. They're saying, no, we're there to help these people, we're there to liberate them, we're there to give them a better way of life. The people who are anti-war are saying, no, that's the smoke screen. That's not why we're really there, man. We're there for the war. We're there for the oil. We're there for the money. We're there to, flex our U.S. muscles, and it's, you look at,
the
their
people
sides.
that you're talking about with the kill them all, let God sort them out, that would be the extremists.
Yeah.
And then you have extremists on the other side as well.
Yeah. And
right.
it's just this great, you look at it, and it's weird because I started thinking about, the circle, and then thinking about the Amazon, thinking about Artemis in there, think about the Olympians, think about just all these different characters, and it's very mirroring what we're currently seeing involving with this war.
Right.
And it's, it's a classic military action. I'll say any military action, you'll find these type of beliefs. You'll find these type of just, sides. Even something as simple as not simple, but even something as what people will say is cut and dry Revolutionary War. In American soil, you figured, oh yeah, that was probably cut and dry, everyone supported it. No. There was a huge, huge support for, against the American army in America. American citizens who were, siding with their crown, who were siding with, Britain, saying, no, this is wrong. We want to be part of the British Empire. We want to be part of the most powerful empire in the world. It's kind of like you think about it nowadays, you're like, wow, but they're fighting for freedoms. They're fighting for their rights, their laws, things that we just throw out and we think about without even, a second hesitation. But back then, they're like, no, they're fighting for something bigger. They're fighting for, just to be part of the crown. And it's kind of, and I get started thinking about these things, I'm like, yeah, and I can, I hate to say I can understand, what she's going through. And, and there's a part of me that actually agrees with her saying, this could actually work. Now, that part of me is really, pushed aside by the side of me says, hello, she's killing innocent people. That's wrong, dummy. And I usually, that part wins the argument, but...
There's a major point for me where she's wrong.
Yeah.
There's a line she crosses that I just can't take. It's PTG, baby. Protect the gorillas.
Oh, God, dude.
The gorillas, for me, since Gail's taken over this book, have been just fantastic supporting casts. I love that you talk about a different, having their own political groups. They have their own particular groups, a warrior caste and things like that with respect and honor and tradition as well. I love the gorillas.
Yeah, I was so worried about the gorillas, and I love how they rallied them up. Because at first they start the fighting like, hey, we're here to pick you up by order of the queen. Hippolyta ordered our arrest, and they immediately surrender because they're thinking Hippolyta. They just kept saying the queen, and I love that. I thought that was a really slick way to take them down.
Here's another thing, though. You shoot me up with 3 arrows, I'm not going to stop partway through and go, oh, maybe you're right. We should have a little chat.
Yeah.
You start chatting calmly. I'm gonna let you start chatting. I'm taking your head off. I mean, that was an interesting moment as well because you see the gorilla perplexed at this point. Wait a minute, Hippolyta did this to us. And I love that she never tells that there's a new queen, knowing, wait a minute, we've got an opportunity here to end this in a, simple manner.
Yeah.
Let us not do that. Very brilliant.
Well, that gorilla took 3 arrows and was still fighting.
Oh, yeah.
And
is able to stop standing on his feet and talk and say, oh, okay.
Let me think here.
Yeah, that becomes a huge problem.
Now, when Alcyon gives, the Olympian the wedding present, how worried were you that it was going to be a gorilla head? I was terrified.
Oh, were you? I wasn't thinking that at all.
Oh, God, I was thinking it was going to be a gorilla head.
I was thinking a weapon.
Weapon?
I was thinking that there was some form of weapon in the box. Yeah. Because she was talking about, but I was the island's armory mistress.
Yeah.
So, and she said something about, may you wear it well. So I didn't know if it was some kind of gauntlet or some kind of, something like that. I don't know why I didn't think where it was heading. It makes so much sense.
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful.
The conversation with Jason, though, was something that I really liked. Because I liked seeing that it wasn't just the Olympian. It was also his trusted advisors that were saying, what are we doing? What is our goal here? What are we trying to accomplish? Morally, who are we? Mm-hmm. Because they walked into this as supposedly champions for the gods. Now what are we? What are we doing here? I love those moments.
Yeah. And I like seeing he does know what he's getting at. Well, yes. He now sees what she is. And I love the one line that he had where, here I thought I disarmed all the Amazons, but there's a viper sitting, there was a viper left out, in plain sight. And I was like, oh, nice. He knows. And she took it as a compliment. She's like, thank you. And it was just a wow moment. That right there for me was a very definitive moment. And then as she takes, her one friend for a private celebration, I was like, oh man, this is, I was eating that up. But even later on, we see that she didn't really actually have a private celebration. She just took her aside to kind of like throw a little salt in the wound. Just kind of rub it in a little bit into the Olympian. So that, once again, we talk about just the layers of attack that Alcyon does. She has these boom, 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 little jabs, little sticks. You insult her, she throws it back to you.
It's about control and power with her.
Oh, definitely. And
she is making strategic moves. We are seeing her operate as a general, and as a warrior in a way that she is willing to cross any line necessary. This is what she was constructed to do as a member of the Circle. She was constructed to do whatever was necessary to accomplish the goal. This was a member of the private guard of the Queen, charged with making sure that nothing could hurt the Queen. Which means their job is to cross any lines necessary. They were kept secret for so long because of that. I mean, that's ugh.
Yeah,
And
by any
it's-
means necessary.
Mhm.
They definitely were living by that code. And you talk about the present, just that it was, the leather armor kind of that has the Wonder Woman logo etched into it, but it's a man's armor, not the female armor. And it's, he still has
Was elements of her outfit taken to craft this, though, as well?
had to be.
I think so as well,
Had to be, because you see, like, he's got the battle skirt. I don't know what the actual technical term is, but it's that, and it has the blue and white field in that, but it's still the male version of the battle armor, which I thought was a nice way to go with this. This was a really cool outfit, and in a way, I'm thinking it more of a kind of a dig further into him. Because she's kind of like saying, you're just you're just another Wonder Woman wannabe. You're not the real king. You're not the real power here.
Yeah, that is interesting to see. Or labeling him as her champion versus...
Definitely could be, yeah.
Yeah.
He is her champion. You're just like how Diana was.
Because she doesn't want him to totally think that she's turning on him, because that ruins her plans. She's playing a game of chess here, so it's necessary to keep him guessing what she's really doing and what her real goals are. Because she does not want him to know that she's planning to get rid of the males on the island. Because that's part of her goal. I agree with
Right.
your thinking that she
100%.
wants to start a war to rid herself of anybody who's undesirable. But she wants the males all dead, to the last one.
Yeah. Because she wants it back to the way it was. Women only. Paradise.
And all of the Amazons who could potentially get in her way out of the way as well.
Yeah, and this is her great way to get rid of him. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful plan. I really got to say, I just love her as a villain. That's why I hope she doesn't go anywhere. We got to keep her around just because she's the Lex Luthor.
I like this outfit of Donna Troy's. Like, it's, over the years, her outfit has changed multiple times, from the Wonder Girl outfits, through multiple versions of the Wonder Girl outfit, I should say, through to the Troy outfit, to this outfit. I really like this outfit. I think it's a very cool outfit at this point.
See, I got to say, with her, I like her armored up better. I do like her, and I like where she's got the black, the black starry undersuit, and then she has the armor over it, and I think she just looks... Yeah, that's how I would like to see her dressed full time.
See, and I'm going to tell you why I disagree with you, and it shows our difference in our experiences. This outfit is a nod in style to her when Wolfman and Perez were doing the Teen Titans. This is what her Wonder Girl outfit looked like, the red with the stars and things like that. It was this style of outfit. The difference now is it shows that she has changed over time and adapted to a different... So to me, it's a very nice nod back to where she's come from and who she is now. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling the way you are. It just shows our difference, and I think it's important.
Difference in history.
Difference in history and experience with the character. That I love seeing her in this outfit because it does so much remind me of the Wonder Girl outfit as well. But I wouldn't go back to that because she's gone so far beyond it, so it's cool. It is interesting to see that she is playing Donna Troy on purpose as well, because she's doing everything she can to put every person in place for her plan.
And it's a nice plan, and I'm not 100% certain where she's going to go with Donna Troy, because we know Troy is going off to rescue the Queen.
Well, she wants Troy off the island.
Yeah.
Let me Alkion here. I don't think she's got it labeled to individual players like they need to be here, there, or everywhere. She's setting up an event that will hopefully wipe out as many of them as she can, and I have no doubt in my mind she will not hesitate to set up the remaining members of the Circle, killing anybody accidentally. Look what happened to them on the battlefield. Her overall plan would be, let's wipe out anybody we possibly can that are undesirable. And restore a power hierarchy to this island that would be preferable. Do you think she would be willing to die for this plan of hers?
Yes.
I think so too.
Oh, definitely. If, her main goal is, one, get rid of the men, two, get rid of Diana.
And she would die happy.
If she could accomplish those two goals.
I don't think just Diana, though. I think she wants any of the Amazons that are sympathizers with that gone as well, for the purpose of restoring things to what she considers proper.
Right. And Donna Troy is another one who, she's not the true proper Amazon to her. She's another outsider who could taint them. She is more of them than, Amazon. She's been tainted. So she wants to get rid of, Donna Troy. And it's interesting because I was trying to figure out, when we later see what, when she's going to
She doesn't, but here's the thing. I think she initially wanted Diana dead, but she doesn't end wanting Diana dead. Things have changed.
I think she always wants Diana dead.
The way this issue has changed, though, think about how it ends. Let's talk about how it ends. She uses the totem of genocide.
Yeah, invokes the power of genocide into them.
But she also, because of what she does in this ritual, she connects with the island on some deep level, with the being that is the dark being that's at the root of the island, who is the spiritual father figure to Diana because of the way she was constructed from the island. And she no longer can kill Diana. Because the way the issue ends, with her saying, I don't want you dead, I think that's what happened with the switch. That's why there was a switch in the sacrifice. She needed a visual of Diana dying to carry out her plan. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I think the original plan was to kill Diana. The sacrifice changed due to the island.
Well, see,
because the way the issue ends, she changed the sacrifice. Why wouldn't she have killed Diana there? And she does say, meet Codus, Diana. Meet the maker of your flesh. Meet your true father, who basically said, I made a bargain with the dark heart of Themyscira, and he wanted you alive.
Yeah, because he wants to kill her. And he
wants to kill her?
Yeah. Codus is... there's like there's these three massive giants,
right?
And they actually worked against the Titans, to help the Greek gods take down the Titans. And excuse me, and Codus is one of them. And I think.
So you think the goal here at the end is when he's taking Diana is for him to kill Diana,
right? And that was the sacrifice of
or to pull her power back in to itself.
Yeah, one of those two. It could be something like that, but this is definitely still, the plan is still to get Diana dead.
How true of a father do you think Codus is?
He's not. I don't think.
But I mean, do you think some of who she is, some of her power comes from the Codus?
Could be, because she was constructed
Is she a piece of that power? I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm
speculating here on all of this. Yeah. I'm just I'm throwing out there because the way the ending is, it's an interesting cliffhanger because we see that these guys have taken in, it's the power of genocide, right? The spirit of genocide is what happens in the circle?
Yeah, that mystic whatever energy that it was is what, gets fed into him. Then I think the sacrifice of Fina, one member of the circle, was done to bring out the Codus.
Now, the people traveling with the circle right now, there's 4 of them.
Right.
Is the other one that's not a member of the circle? Because she's got the eyes like the rest of them. So are they all... There were 4 to the circle, correct? And
I thought
there was 4. Remember, there were 4.
Yeah.
The original circle there was 4 different spots.
Right.
Weren't there prisons north, south, east, and west?
Yeah.
Okay, so who are these 4? Aren't these the members of the circle?
That's the members. The sacrifice is that Fina.
But she's not one of the circle. These are the circle. This is the circle right here. All 4 of them. She's not one of the one. She's not the one being sacrificed. The circle's not being sacrificed.
They're part of the invocation.
They're the circle.
Right. They're all part of the invocation of the power.
Right. But you keep saying that one of the members of the circle is being sacrificed.
I keep saying Fina's one of the circle, and she's not. Yeah, she's not.
That's what's throwing me off, because you keep mentioning she's part of the circle. They didn't kill one of their own.
Right.
Well, they did, in the sense that she's an Amazon.
But they killed someone that, you think, because you go back to the earlier sequence when she takes Fina, she tells, the Olympian, hey, I'm going to have a private celebration. And then when she tells her later, go away, she's like, I thought you could tell she really cared about Alkion.
Oh, yeah.
And, Alkion just was using her just to kind of, rub salt in the wound. So that right there is that's why I say she's part of the circle, because she's part of that inner gang.
Do you think she knows Alkion was going to kill her?
No. She was probably Elkian probably told her, we're going to pretend that you're Diana, so the Amazons attack and this and that, and all the Olympians attack, and never said really. But I think they had to sacrifice her to bring out the Codus.
Right.
So all along, she was going to be sacrificed.
Well, she was also going to be sacrificed to cause the rage and to cause the war to continue. Yeah. She wanted these two factions to keep fighting. The moments with the Olympian and Diana really propped up my respects for the Olympian.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, every time we get to see him, we see a little bit more of him, we see there is the code of honor there.
I hated this guy when he was first introduced, because I'm like, he's trying to take over for Diana. I want to see her wipe the floor with him.
Kick his butt.
But now all of a sudden I'm like, he really does want to be that champion. And how hard would that be when you're being handed from Zeus the ability to be this champion, that you're being told you are going to be this leader, and all of a sudden to realize it's all gone horribly wrong and you are none of that, and you will historically not go down as any of that. To be able to admit that and to step up and to try and still do the right thing, to look at somebody who you were supposed to be replacing and to say to them, this is wrong, I need you.
Yeah, that was just a cool moment. And the fact that he could recognize that in Diana there was that level of forgiveness, that he knows that if he's being honest and true and sincere to her, she will accept that apology and she will work with him. She recognizes there is the warrior code between the two of them, and just seeing them both fly out into battle, I thought that was wonderful. And I immediately started thinking, ooh, Sir Thomas, you have some competition now, because these two do make a good power couple. And that's something I would like to see. Maybe if he survives this, I would like to see some type of commingling. Maybe Hippolyta or maybe even Diana bringing about a commingling of the men on Themyscira. Kind of and maybe this could be an explanation as to why Diana is not part of the Justice League, why Donna Troy is. This could be she has to stay back. She can no longer be the emissary outside. She has to be with her sisters to keep this peaceful, coexistence going. And maybe even a little, a kind of a relationship not based on love and admiration, but based on necessity. He could right now be her mate. And this whole thing could change that way.
Why does Donna being a part of the Justice League have to indicate that Diana's out of the game?
It doesn't, but I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I think Donna being a part of the Justice League, to me, Donna's earned that spot, regardless. So same way when we talked about Red Arrow originally being on the team, way back when, I think Donna clearly has earned that spot as well. So I don't know that they have to be one in place of the other. I don't see that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what you were saying. I'm just saying I don't think that naturally indicates that Diana's out of the game. Diana can still be very active as Wonder Woman without being a member of this new Justice League team.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with you. Mm-hmm. Just make sure everybody realizes. It's one of those things. I'm just throwing out ideas, just thinking out loud. Okay. Kind of wondering maybe if this is something, because that is actually, I'll be honest with you, something I would really like to see is this male-female coexistence on Themyscira. I would really love to see Diana dealing with this, and as much as I do love her in the metahuman thing and just everything that's going on. I think we would get some really cool stories, especially with Artemis. Artemis playing a pitcher in this. It could be. I don't know. It'd be one of those weird, cool stories that I don't think at first like, okay, so where's this going to go? Oh yeah, oh cool, sweet. Kind of change things up a bit. I'm torn. Because it's funny when you're throwing off your ideas here. I'm not trying to invalidate them because I can see them, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can see those as possibilities. But then I'm like, but I also like this. I like the idea of Themyscira and its rich culture. So I don't know what that looks like. I'm be very curious to see what that is. I don't know. So I'm not disputing you. I do see that could be interesting. I also see that there would be reasons based on what has happened here for them to realize they couldn't coexist. I'm engaged and deeply into the story and open to the possibilities. That's what's fun. Yeah. Is I see it going more in one possible direction, and I'd love to see how we get there. Where are we going to go, and how are they going to resolve
some very real problems they have coming out of this.
Yeah, this is really, there's so much up in the air that we don't know where it's going to go to. And this is something that's been building since the Circle. It's building since the very, start of this story arc. This story, and I'm just like, wow, this has just been one of those things that have just continued going on, and a bit here, a bit here, a bit there, and these just little pieces coming through. And even when Genocide hit, we think, okay, that's just the beginning of really this, and now I want to see what happens. Well, I'm clamoring for the ending and seeing how this goes, but then I'm still thinking, what's going to happen next? Where are we going to be at with this?
One of the cool things about it is, and what makes her a great writer is, I love the fact that when there's a big event happening like with Genocide, there's still this story with Alkion was building behind the scenes during that. The Olympian was building slowly behind the scenes during that. And this has been an epic story and I guarantee you there's things being developed right now in here that we don't see are going to play into bigger things down the road. She's just continuing. There are huge events happening in Diana's book. It's a trend that I really like right now at DC, is that while you got Blackest Night going on, and while that's all, I love Blackest Night. I'm loving all the tie-ins. I'm digging it. It's great to see every little nuance and where everything's going, but I love that hasn't derailed this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I need this. It's deep, it's rich. To throw something in here that doesn't fit and it doesn't make any sense would have ruined a storyline that I think is fantastic, that I want in hardcover. I want to continue getting these hardcovers because it's just a fun reread for me to read this story. I've read this issue 3 times now.
Yeah, I get it.
For no other reason than I enjoyed it.
Sheer enjoyment, yeah, I know. And I tell you, there's one line that I forgot to mention that I absolutely love. Mm-hmm. And it was between, when the Olympian and Diana are talking in jail cell, and he's like, we got to end this. We have to stop Alkion. I loved how he's put it. We have a war to kill. I loved that. I was just like thinking about just, exactly, ending, we're not bringing peace, we are killing a war. And that was just some kind of just like one of those raw, emotional, just pure hoorah, let's kick some butt.
It's a war that nobody can win.
Yeah.
They aren't going to survive. If this is what Alkion wants, Alkion wants everybody destroyed. Not everybody, but I mean, pretty close. She wants there to be a very small population at the end.
She wants it back down to the way it was, minimum society.
Right.
Just, yeah.
Now, here's the interesting part. She's shedding a tear right now, and she's shedding a tear for multiple things. For where she wants this to go and how beautiful it can be when it finally is achieved, because she sees herself now as this puppet master who's laid out a plan that will bring that beauty, but also she is shedding a tear for Finea.
Yeah.
This was somebody she did love, and I think it's part of the reason why nothing happened between the two of them, because she had to distance herself to make the ultimate sacrifice. And wow.
Yeah.
That shows dedication, though, to kill your lover at that point.
Well, that shows fanaticism. That shows
absolutely. Fanaticism actually is a much better word. But I mean, I could never do that in a million years.
And
it's her dedication to her cause, fanaticism to her cause. It's fine. But I mean, she would kill herself, blow up portions of the island, whatever is necessary in order to accomplish this goal. She's out there.
Yeah.
I firmly believes it as a moral imperative.
Yeah. See, I go by. I'm part of the General Patton school of thought. Mm-hmm. No one ever won a war by dying for their country. They won it by making somebody else die for theirs. That's my school of thought. I never really the whole suicide bombing. Just
but this is sacrifice. This skirts a religious war.
Yes.
So
this is big time religious.
Yeah. So
war.
The Patton comparison, it's fitting to a certain extent, except now we're dealing with a religious fanatic as well.
Yeah, and it's
to a certain extent, because she believes in the moral and religious and imperative of the whole island as well. Because she's pulling in some funky stuff that is definitely religious, has religious connotations with the gods and with the island, and she's made deep-rooted plans, and with Codus, for example. I mean, it's just woof. And Ares.
Yeah, and he's even dead. Even gone and dead, he's still a player in this. I love that about just, the fact that he's never going to truly go away. There's always going to be a little bit something connecting to it, and who knows, maybe we may even get him back again somehow. I'm not sure where this is going to lead to. There's so much more that can happen out there that I get so excited about where the story is. I get where it's going to go to, and then you start thinking the future stuff. And it's eager anticipation. That's why I had no problem saying this was one of my top 5. Every single time Wonder Woman comes out, I reach for it. It's just I know it's going to be a great read. I know it's going to be something I'm going to enjoy. And, and it's a combination of just awesome characters, these stories that I'm liking, and it's just, it gives me that happy feeling.
Do you want this to be relabeled 600? Or do you care?
See, I honestly, I don't really care. Personally, I am tossed up. It is a tough thing, but I don't. If people who want this to happen, what?
Who tossed you up? Sorry.
Did
you ever find that I listen to you too carefully?
Yes, I know. Dude, relax a little, okay? But it's.
I hang on your every word, Jim.
Yes. Well, don't, because I'm a blithering idiot.
So am I. So that's probably why. It's a bonding thing we have.
But seriously, it's one of those things where every other time I do think about, like when we were talking about the iconic stuff on episode 100, I was sitting there and I was like, this is part of the reason I would like to see the number change. I would like to see that, just give her the respect that she, has earned. But then I'm like, you know what? Here's the thing, though. Is it really granting her the respect? The respect is sitting there talking about how great this title is, telling people to pick it up, and then building up this to the level that it should be. Between
where I got into it? I'll tell you where I got into it. I don't think you read DC Nation as much as I do, or the blog. When I started seeing how many people were actually writing postcards in, I started getting into that and eating that up. If you had asked me at first, when it was first initially announced, do I care one way or the other? No, not really. I didn't at first. Now I do. I completely switched. I'm like, if that many people are motivated to that, then there's people who are emotionally invested in that and tied to it. I gotta say, I do like that Adventure Comics has that shadow version of the numbering on there. So I would like to see something similar done here. So I'm kind of in the camp now where I would like to see it. Before I didn't really care. Because to me, it's always about the quality of the story and the writing and the art and what's really going on. And, give me something that, blows my mind away. You can, start lettering it instead of numbering it for all I care.
Let's go with the Greek let's go with the Greek alphabet. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Let's give it time.
Wonder Woman episode, or Wonder Woman issue Schwa-E or something like that. Or start calling them episodes. I don't care. But I don't care how they're really numbered as long as, I know how to follow it. This one I do care about now. Because I think in this day and age of emailing and stuff like that many people were so motivated to send in postcards. I hope the number count reached what it was supposed to. And
do you know what the deadline is?
It's done.
Oh,
it's long and past.
okay.
The decision's been made. I have a funny feeling it's going to be.
Oh, okay.
That's my my gut feeling is right now that.
And if it does, I'll say good job, kudos, hoorah.
And I'm happy for the people that really wanted it, because I think that's something that's really cool. But with the shadow numbering that they're doing nowadays, I think, there's people who care. To me, if there's people who care enough to write postcards in at this point, and that many postcards we're getting in it at that stage, do the shadow numbering. You make everybody happy.
Yeah, and
because we all just really want to know where to put them in our box.
Yeah. And here's the funny thing with me: if they do that, if they do make the episodes, the issue 600,
we are both so stuck in that now. I inherited that from you at the start of this episode, and I can't stop saying now. Comic books have issues, we have episodes, and so do television shows. Right. Yeah, and clearly today we both have issues, and we're having episodes.
Yes. But I tell you, knowing me the way I am, if they do the numbering switch, I would probably buy 2 copies. One, because this is what I did with issue 1 and issue 501 with Action Comics. I have both of them.
You bought the alternative covers,
but I don't do it for all of them going forward. I only buy the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that.
I only bought one copy of that one. That's interesting that you did that.
That one I bought 2, and it was just something I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I'll do the same thing with Wonder Woman.
On the other, is the shadow numbering reversed?
Yes. So on my copies, the 1, 2, 3 is dominant with the 500 number behind it.
Okay, and then the flip around on the alternative cover, it's the other way around. Right. The 501 is then more dominant.
Yep. And
That's
I like
cool.
that. I think that's a good idea. And
I agree.
Nice work, Atom. What are these characters up to?
Jim, I just want to talk real quick before we kick into our discussion about JSA. I want to talk about the Great 10. We were just talking about it, and I asked you if you'd read the first issue. It's a 10-issue miniseries written by Tony Bedard with art by Scott McDaniel. And the covers are gorgeous. It's one of the things that I really like about this series. I don't know why I didn't associate they were probably going to do this all the way through. The first issue spotlights the accomplished, perfect physician. There's a big overarching story that affects the entire Great 10, but there's flashbacks to his background story. And it shows that this team isn't necessarily comfortably banded together. He's there, and he's a source of... He actually comes from a different group. He's viewed as a revolutionary who normally the rest of the team would want to stamp out. There doesn't seem to be anyone on the team that actually likes him. He has a strong moral code that we were talking about in Wonder Woman, kind of how that there's like a political intrigue and turmoil. This is political intrigue within China. And members of the group, various members of the group, come from different political backgrounds. And they're there because that's a way to rally the support of the people to the team. But it also causes dissension in the ranks. Leaders do not necessarily trust him, for example. So it's a series where, for anybody that's interested in who the Great 10 are, you get their origins rooted into a deep story where they're going up against, like, at the end, they're going up against this group of Chinese gods that are, like, their first nemesis, and you're, like, looking at them like, how are they going to beat these guys? And it's, there's a deep-rooted superhero story in there, but it's overarched by this concept of a Chinese lore and tradition set in their world. It's very different than, like, a Justice League or a Justice Society because of its location. So you've got Justice League of America, Justice Society of America that are more rooted in American tradition. This is a super team rooted in Chinese tradition. It's cool.
Yeah, and I picked up the issues. I haven't had a chance because it's just everything going on in the universe. But it was dealing with the Great 10 through Checkmate. I thought it was a very interesting thing. This was one of those limited series I was worried about because I'm thinking, they picked this time. Now there's so much stuff going out there that it's going to get overlooked. And I'm ordering it, and I still overlooked it. And, well, I didn't overlook it.
You just haven't read it yet.
I haven't read it yet. I've ordered it. I'm going to continue ordering it. Because even though I haven't, but I'm like, it's something that I'm trying to get to. And there's some of my other reading that is kind of getting pushed aside because of the huge stuff going on in Blackest Night, the huge stuff going on in JSA now, Wonder Woman, Bat stories, Superman stories. There's these big, huge events that a limited series like that can get lost in.
The reason why I shout it out is I think if you're looking for something different to try, that's a little outside of the norm, this is a great book. So, Great 10, for anybody who's interested, I would definitely recommend checking out. It's very cool. I wanted to talk about Justice Society of America. We haven't talked a whole lot about this since Willingham and Sturgis took over. And it's a series. I was very, 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 very worried when Jeff Johns was leaving. Just because this book, to me, has been my flagship team book. It has always had an edge over Justice League for me. And I'm sure there's people who are Justice League fans who are like, what, are you crazy? Justice League? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just there's something about the team. I like the tradition, the fact that these are either Golden Age characters or descendants of Golden Age characters. And I like those concepts. There's something that feels classic. It does take me back to my childhood, to the old JLA, JSA crossovers, to see these characters and to get to know them on this level. It's an important book for me. So I've been really enjoying this build up to leading this into 2 team titles. And why? Because you're seeing different philosophical differences on the team members throughout this issue. So I really wanted to make sure we talked about the ending of this arc and talked about JSA All Stars to just kind of see what the difference is going on. Well, in this series so far, the Brownstone's been under attack.
Massively.
And villains have been taking advantage of that. And as it's been under attack, a lot of what's happening, Mr. Terrific's been stabbed. The mystery is who has stabbed Mr. Terrific. He's died, basically, but he was held in stasis by Green Lantern. And then they brought in Dr. Fate and, of course, Dr. Midnight to try and save his life, which he's basically been billed as dead, done, let's pull the sheet over him, and they're still trying to find a way around that. And I love that this team doesn't give up. There is something definitely heroic about them, but I love because they've got new members who didn't grow up from the golden age to present day. They're more modern, and they're not as clean as some of these guys are, and we're seeing a divided line. Yes, they created this huge society, but like any huge society, kind of, it's funny that we've got this interesting theme going on through this episode. It's got its own politics. I do like that Power Girl being one of the... She's not from the Golden Age, so she would be one of the members of the team that would be more willing to take a look at a different approach.
Yeah.
Because she kind of is in a different place than the other members of the team as well. I like that. It's a deep-rooted book in that fashion. So anyway, we start off with them after the fight at the Brownstone. And this, such a good-looking book. I love Jay Garrick. I love this double-page spread of just seeing this whole team as he comes running in, going up against the fight. We see Liberty Bell. Do you want to see her go to the Jesse Quick costume or stay as in the Liberty Bell outfit? Because I do like the Liberty Bell outfit.
I do like the Liberty Bell outfit, but there was just something when I saw her in the Jesse Quick outfit, I was like, okay, I kind of dig that. I do like that, nod to it and all that stuff. But for me, she is Liberty Bell.
Yeah, me too.
I don't really have... I have limited knowledge about her. I have limited experience with her as is, but it's always been Liberty Bell. So I think, because she's not just a speedster, that Jesse Quick costume is more of just the speedster outfit. Now, I do like the fact that when she invoked the power of the Speed Force, it was that costume. It wasn't the Liberty Bell costume.
I agree, because it's so connecting to her dad.
It was connected to the dad. But I do like this, maybe a little modification to this one even further to incorporate more of the Jesse Quick in it. I don't know. There's already a night. She's not exactly a Liberty Bell costume. There has been some modifications to it, so I think we're probably good to go as is, but who knows? It's one of those things where I would accept, if they were to change it up a little bit, have a little bit of fun with it, I wouldn't have too much of an issue with it.
This double-page spread is absolutely breathtaking.
Of this fight sequence?
Judo Master, Power Girl, Wildcat. I mean, it's just, Damage. Everybody is it's just great. Cyclone, and just seeing how they're all in place. I do like how, in this particular thing, you see Stargirl kind of a part of it all, but outside of it as well, because showing that the villains aren't attacking her.
They're not attacking her, and I love that. She's like, come on, hit me, come on, what are you waiting on? And they won't go after her. They're not engaging Stargirl for some reason, and this is something they've been doing through multiple issues. And I think that is just a build-up, and we finally find out why in JSA All Stars, kind of. But it's something I was like, come on already, I want to know what's going on here,
You don't know who that is in All Stars, do you?
I have no idea who that is in All Stars.
Because you didn't read the first series.
Yeah.
Cool. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Whereas that's somebody from the first series.
Oh, okay, cool. So
yeah.
you know. Okay.
This whole bit here with... Well, although I have an interesting... I'm wondering... we'll have to talk about that. We'll save that for when we get to... Because I've got some ideas running through my head. There's some interesting possibilities to all that. Mr. America. I've liked him since this series relaunched. Because he was introduced in the first issue, and well, obviously this is not that same Mr. America. We've got
he was killed off.
Yes, but this is his partner.
Yeah.
And did you see? I thought it was this kid all along.
Yeah, well, I knew it was this kid along.
Yeah,
I didn't know who it was though. I didn't know if he was under mind control or if what.
Well, that was what I'm saying though. But I thought all along that King Chimera was not the one doing it all. I thought he was being utilized for this. So it was interesting to see this kid finally turn, and wow. You bet, pal, and clonk.
Back of the head with the chair. You got to love it.
Did you read the 80-page Giant, the JSA 80-page Giant?
Yes, I did.
The Mr. America story in there was particularly good, where we saw him trying to... I wrote one of my articles on the
one of your Biting the Bullet. Yeah,
is on that. And that annual was really, really good. It's a great, not annual 80-page Giant. If you skipped over the 80-page Giant, there's a lot of story in that book, and it's definitely spotlights most of the characters on the JSA and gives you kind of an insight to who they are, what their MO is, and it gets kind of the core to who they are as a person. And I love that.
That Citizen Steel story. That was the one I loved. I was like, wow, this is outstanding.
Finally being able to connect with his family on that level. But that is something, if you pass that over, definitely check it out. Magog. Do you see him eventually becoming a villain in the DC Universe again? Are we leading to that eventually?
Well, here's the thing. You think about when he made his guest appearance, or whatever you want to call it, in the Booster Gold with Booster Gold,
And recently in the Shield as well.
And then Shield, but especially the Booster Gold though. Booster wanted to throw down with him, but Skeez is like, hey, he does some good. We can't take him down yet. And so I'm like, there's something that's going to happen with Magog. Maybe he's going to go over the edge. He's maybe going to cross the line. And you do see it. It's the whole military concept, military strike force concept. The authorization of lethal force is a very viable military concept.
Is he a hero?
I don't know.
Do you take him as a superhero?
Right now, yes.
Do you?
Yeah.
See, I think he's one of those interesting characters that I don't think you can define as that. As a superhero.
Yeah.
I actually put him more as a military guy.
Yeah, well, I also think that they can have the military guys as the heroes, though.
But do you think he is, like Captain America, I think, is definitely a superhero.
Right.
I don't put Magog in that category.
No, God, no. Definitely not a Captain America, but he's not a Sam Lane. He's not a General Lane. He is still he still hasn't crossed over.
I put him more like the Shield. Did you read the issue with the Shield? The two issues with the two of them together? How the Shield defined himself, how he was not a hero?
Yeah.
He's a soldier?
Yeah, Shield's
Magog to me is more of a soldier than a hero. I like the distinction, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I like about him. But I mean, you don't have to agree with me. You can.
Well, I know Shield defined himself as a soldier. I still define Shield as a hero. So it's just in my mind. I look at my mindset. He
does heroic acts, but do you consider him a superhero? There's a difference between a superhero and just a plain hero. See, I consider a lot of military people heroes,
right?
But not superheroes.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
There?
And definitely
that word hero, because you keep saying the word hero, and I'm kind of like, wait a minute now. Yeah. I do agree with that. There's a distinction, though.
Yeah, there's superhero and hero.
Right.
There's definitely. Okay, he's not.
Jay Garrick is a superhero.
Right. Okay, Magog is not a superhero. He is a soldier.
Right.
He's just not a U.S. soldier.
He can be a heroic soldier. He can be a hero in that sense, but he's not a superhero like a Alan Scott, Jay Garrick,
Superman.
Wildcat.
He's not a Superman.
Right. Well, Superman is your... And Alan Scott as well, and Jay Garrick, I think they fall into that category. Wildcat falls into that category as well, but he's kind of a dirty hero compared to the two of them, in the sense that he's a little rougher around the edges, but he's definitely a superhero.
Oh, definitely.
Magog, though, I like... And I'm saying I compliment them on the distinction because he feels different. And I think that different feel is what I like about the direction the team's going in.
Here's an interesting thing now. My initial reaction to the question I'm about to ask you, of course, is yes, but Wonder Woman, is she a superhero or is she a warrior?
I think she is a warrior who is moving in the direction of being a superhero. I think that's what's being explored in Wonder Woman right now. Where is she heading? This inner turmoil with her, I think she has been the warrior for so long that she's in a transition phase. I think we're seeing her become that person. I think we're finding the answer to that in her book. We aren't there yet.
Okay.
This story's leading in that direction. I think a lot of what she was doing when that is an interesting point. I think a lot of what she was doing when she left Themyscira and kind of put that all behind was moving in the direction of being a superhero. So I would say it's not a simple answer with her at the moment. That's a great question.
Yeah.
That's a really great question because I don't think it's easily defined with her right now.
Yeah, see, I do initially say yes, she is a superhero now already because of...
I don't think she knows it, though.
Right. Agree. Perfect sentiment there.
Yeah. And I think I'm enjoying her finding out who she is.
Her realizing who she is and, yeah.
I think her discomfort at some of her actions has been when she hasn't acted as a superhero. That bothers her.
Yeah.
So I think at her core she is, yes. But she hasn't gotten there yet. He, on the other hand, is completely a soldier.
Yeah.
and he is a warrior.
Well, he's a Marine.
Yeah.
Let's get that straight right up front. Yeah. We do not want to insult any Marines out there because that's,
The battle with him in Major Force was an absolute riot.
Yeah, Army ain't ready for the Marines.
Yeah, you're that jarhead. I hate jarheads, and I do like that distinction.
Yep.
Power Girl, that fight right there, you're not dealing with Superman, you're dealing with me with Blue Moon.
Yeah.
Where I could be as... Again, her distinction, her solo series is fantastic. I really am, and I think that is, it makes me smile from ear to ear. We get to see a little bit something different from her. Seeing her here, though, in that position, I'm glad that they haven't, put her in the background of the JSA. I'm glad she's still in the forefront, and that we're seeing a lot of character development and storytelling with her here as well, because we need in the DC Universe more strong female characters, and there are certain characters that on their own fall in that category. I think we're seeing Supergirl step it up. I think that character has become a lot more interesting, a lot more iconic, a lot more definable. Power Girl, same thing. We're seeing this character step up and be a lot more definable. Black Canary is at a phase right now where I think she's taken a couple steps back, and I'd like to see them take a few steps forward with her again.
Yeah, I think we're going to get some more, get her, kicking back, coming back to where she should be in the Green Arrow Black Canary title.
Because there's so many interesting female characters in the DC universe, and Power Girl is one of them, who I think is just. I think the development with her has been very interesting with her in this role.
Yeah,
Kid Chimera.
I thought that was a cool bit. He throws out the illusion, actually draws them off of Magog, who, granted he could have used a little assistance, but he never would have asked for it. He still he had the enemy right where he wanted them, as they're pounding on him. But I do like just this when they introduced him, I was like, oh my God, no, I hate these smarmy little, I know everything kind of characters. Because I really want to reach into the comic, smack him around a little bit, and say, get your head out of your butt, dude. But I like this little usage of him. This was a kind of nice little touch, and it's kind of interesting to see knowing that these two are going to be on the All-Star team. Because we're going to get a little headbutting, and a little bit of issues probably between these two.
Right, because King Chimera is definitely, I keep calling him Kid Chimera. King Chimera is definitely not someone to fall in line without a snarky comeback.
Right.
Which is interesting for when you've got somebody who wants his squad to follow orders. Or his squads, which we'll have to talk about that. That's interesting.
Fighting like cats and dogs. I did chuckle at that one.
Yeah. And that shows his history as well, because he does it so effortlessly. He throws out the one-liners just effortlessly with a little smirk. It's all about, it's the boxer in him.
Yeah.
It's all about taunting your opponent and taking advantage of the distraction. It's the stick and move. It's the swerve. Follow the left while I punch you with the right.
Yep.
And that's Wildcat. And verbally he verbally confronts his opponent like he would box them. And I love that consistency with the character. He's very well written in this segment. It's another just great art segment with him too. Little smirks and the motions of it. This is really just a beautiful book that's kind of come into its own.
Yeah.
And I love that there's always something else going on. Like you've got Stargirl in the background. This has got to be, for the creative team, you've got to really pay attention to what's going on around here. And because characters are popping up all over the place, and you've got to be aware of which one's who. Even with the dogs and such, they have different colored outfits on. So to be aware of what
the different color, and who they're fighting, because that's the other thing I thought was kind of neat, because you can't have them fighting somebody who's already fighting elsewhere. So you really have to have this laid out, because as we go on with little Johnny Knucklehead knocking Wildcat out in the background, we got Alan fighting somebody,
right?
So it's
it keeps you in. One of the things I really appreciate about this is. And not only is he fighting somebody, but we're seeing some great visual effects in the background with the blast hitting the ground, and you see how that's affecting the ground. Mm-hmm. It keeps you in mind the entire time that there is an epic battle going on. This is the entire team in the middle of a fight.
Right.
So that is, to me, something, the sense of scale and scope on this issue. This had to have been a hard issue to put together.
Got it. And even as you see Wildcat out cold, he's got the stars around his head.
Yes.
He's got the little thing, just that little thing while you're...
Nice tiny detail.
Yeah.
It's a very pretty book with a lot going on. Like, I literally, this one I went back through and looked through 3 times at least, and then skimmed through it a 4th. And now we're doing this now. But I love the tiny details, even on the columns, like of the cracks, and you can see in the one that's kind of crumbling off to the side over there. But anyway, King Chimera brought the gun with him, and I do believe he knew all along, and he was waiting for this moment.
Yeah.
Because he knew no one completely believed him. So he decided to just kind of play along with everything and use it to his advantage when the time came. Because he thinks he's just a little bit smarter than everyone else. That calls him Matlock.
Yeah.
The girder thing was great.
And he's like, oh, really? A girder, big illusion, crunch. No, that was a real girder
flying at you. Bloody hell. So you know right away, this wasn't my thing.
And it's a great just flow through as we get, Alan versus, Polaris.
Dr. Polaris,
Polaris, And it's something I liked, as I said. It's just knowing exactly where everyone's fighting, knowing where they are. I honestly wonder if they had like a overall large-scale sketching or idea or something, just so they know, okay, this is here. How do they visualize it before actually creating this?
I don't know. I mean, I would be interested to see the script for this one and what this all looked like. It's certain issues. I'm like, it would be great if there was like a director's cut released with the script.
Yeah.
Just to be able to see what that looked like, because there really is a lot going on from panel to panel. This battle's great though, and it does remind us, that Alan Scott is just such a veteran with the green, and that I like that when he uses his powers, it does look a little different than when Hal does.
Mm-hmm.
There's that distinction between the two of them because there was always kind of more of a magic element to what Alan was doing, but now they've closer linked it to what is going on with the Green Lanterns. But I do like. I remember when I was a kid and I read the JSA JLA crossovers. I always knew who Hal Jordan was, but Alan Scott was the second Green Lantern that I ever knew, and I didn't realize
he was
a kid.
The first. Yeah.
You don't realize that he was the first or anything like that. But it was very cool to see that character. He was always one of my favorites as a kid, and I just love the way that they handle him in this book. And I'm glad that they gave him a great battle here with Dr. Polaris. Now, we talked about this way back when, and I was so excited for him to get his own series, and we know about the unfortunate circumstances where it didn't come about. Finally,
seeing
and
Dr.
I'm
Fate
so
in
glad
action.
that we're honoring what was really done to revamp this character here, because I dig the Dr. Fate concept. And I love that we've got this guy who, on some level, is channeling Kent Nelson, the original, and that it's not really clear yet what's going on
how
there.
He's doing it, what he's doing. He's still in the learning process. He's still in the learning curve, which makes putting him in the JSA a great idea.
Yes.
Because they build better heroes, so he fits there. Not only does he have the longevity, does the character have the longevity in the team, but this character in this current position, in his current way his life is, he fits in, and I'm digging seeing him there.
And the revamped costume really works here. Because it's classic enough. I do like that it's classic enough that you don't lose. The helmet would have been the big thing. Don't change that helmet. I love
well, you got to
that.
keep the helmet. And,
Well, the helmet has, over the years, though, had slight tweaks and modifications. So I've got to be fair. And to the point where actually there was a Fate that didn't wear the helmet at all. But I do love the classic Dr. Fate look. There's something. He just looks bad here. And that's something when he's on the Justice Society special, I'm kind of curious to see. I want to see him with all the special effects, because I want to see how that's going to translate. I've already seen the one image of it.
Yeah.
And I want to see it with the effects, because it looks a little hokey at the moment in the one image, where Dr. Fate should look a little bit cooler than it does. But it's not. These are like still images.
Yeah,
I want to see it in motion.
You got to see the action. You got to see how it's going, and who knows, what's going to happen.
Right. I mean, those are all. I want to see these things because what I've seen in previews, he looked great in the previews with the magic kicking up and everything like that. The helmet played off. So the preview versus the still image, the preview is far better. That little teaser where Dr. Fate appeared there was great.
Yeah, I got weird stuff with me, but I'd like to see, the helmet just kind of do like the kind of just appear on the head, not actually him physically putting it on or something like that. A little bit more of the mystical kind of like transforming from the regular guy to the Doctor, because there was when we did the Return of Hawkman, when it was when Hector Hall was it, and they had that scene where the helmet just kind of faded away and he saw it was his son. I thought that was a cool image.
But the distinction here is Hector Hall had more than just, it was just more than just him putting on the helmet. There was like a whole battery of people in there,
right,
who had previously held that. So his concept, when he became Fate, it was almost like he became a different person. He became like the entity called Fate. Hector Hall was a part of that, but there was more to it. Fate was like, it was almost like he became an entity.
Okay. We
Fate.
are Borg, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just had to throw a Star
Yeah,
Trek
no.
reference.
I mean, there's a certain point there. He was definitely in the driver's seat, but there was like he had to really push to be the outward personality. This is different because they're hinting at the fact that he's somehow able to channel Kent Nelson, but for the most part, when we've seen him, it's been
him just,
right, running the show. So it is interesting to see him. And I do like how he has these moments where he's talking about how he's not sure if he wants to do the hero thing full time. And they keep pointing out to him, hey, we've been around for years. We ran with with the guy that you're channeling here. Maybe we can help you connect with that side of yourself. Maybe we can help you become that person that you want to be, get you more comfortable in this role. And I'm glad that he's going to stay with that squad.
Yeah, he definitely needs...
I want to see Dr. Fate with them.
Yeah, he definitely needed to be with not with the All Stars. The All Stars, it's a lot of the younger people, but it was also more of a bam. It's the strike force. The remaining with the other people, it's the old guard, the solid JSA type thing. He definitely fit in with that crowd.
But it's not just the old guard here. They do take a couple of the new characters, and I do like how yes, we do get all the main players in there. It's a division over philosophy, really, and that is it's interesting to see how that strike squad works out. No, I like this a great deal. Now, the battle comes to an end, and they've won. And thanks to Fate's intervention, they've won. But so
what's the
much
cost?
has been lost. And that double page, having them see just the devastation, but how it's weighing on them mentally, and how they're all standing there together, and you can tell they're sorting through their heads, where do we go from here? Yeah, in the end we won. It's why we do what we do. That's why we are who we are. But at this point in time, where do they go from here? Because a lot of that was exposed. And a lot of their weaknesses, philosophically, caused them to be vulnerable to this.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're realizing we do need a change here. We do need to somehow tighten up this concept. Obsidian is an interesting thing. What are they doing with Obsidian? And where is he going to go from here? Because he's trapped as an egg.
Yeah, he's a little black egg, and you're just kind of wondering what's going to happen to him. I like the fact that this was the whole... Well, we got the one side story with, Stargirl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to...
That's okay.
The easiest name to remember, I drew a blank.
That's okay.
But you have that one whole side story going on, but one of the main purposes was getting Obsidian this way. But also, I liked why he had the gut.
But we still don't know what's happening with that.
Right, we don't know that yet.
I like that this is a great example of, again, there's more
multi-layered of stories.
We still don't know why Stargirl's being protected.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be something concluded in this arc before we split the team. That didn't need to be concluded here. There's more to the tale. Now, I had no doubt in my... Did you think Mr. Terrific was dying?
No.
I didn't
come on.
either.
It's Mr. Terrific.
Yeah.
He's going to pull through, and I do like the fact why they went for him, though. He would be the guy to figure out that, the All-American kid never existed. He's not who he says he is, and he's the little psycho guy. And this kid was around on... the Salvation Run. I saw him there, and he was also... Wasn't he in the Shadow Pact? Made a little appearance in Shadow Pact.
Yeah, I never saw that was who it was going to be, though. I didn't see this coming.
I didn't see that either, and I thought that was a great way to do it. And the reason why he had the gut, Mike, why he had to take down Mr. Terrific was because he's the guy who would be smart enough to figure it out. It was a beautiful, once again, multi-layered plan laid out nicely. I really enjoyed seeing that.
Mm-hmm. I did as well. Now, there's this conclusion at the end where they're taking a look at, and that's Mr. Terrific going to the hospital, right?
No, I think that's more bad guys going to the hospital.
No, because it says he's stable again, so let's take it slow and safe to the hospital, okay? That's Mr. Terrific.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it's Dr. Midnight there. Who else would he be talking about?
True.
So, at this point in time, Mr. Terrific, I mean, he managed to save his own life, but he certainly wasn't well. Now, I loved seeing the couple here. I was so afraid they were going to break them up. And it looks like that's not what's happening.
No, definitely not. They're still the very strong couple, and they're still very much in love. It's just, I don't understand why they did split them up, though. To be honest, when I look at the two teams, our man is somebody who could have very easily gone with Liberty Bell on the other team. I don't understand why he's on the strike force.
Because of he is more, if you think about the way his powers work, he is, and who he is, has been in this series, he does have more of the aggressive nature. You know, he kicks into that mode. His philosophy actually is a little bit more in line with Power Girl's squad. You know, with that side of the team. And I think Liberty Bell is more in line with more of the classic heroes because of her history and longevity with Johnny Quick and with the Flash family and all that. She tends to fit more on that side. So we've got a husband and wife who really fit more on one squad versus the other. And I like that that's the reason they're splitting up versus a bout between the two of them. That to me would have been kind of cheesy.
Big time.
You know,
I wouldn't have liked that at all.
No, because that would have been like, why do we have to do that at this point?
Yeah. Because, you know, in scenes before this, you've seen just how loving and affectionate and how wonderful of a strong couple they were. For them to just change it suddenly. Now, the one thing I do also want to wonder about is Cyclone. Mm-hmm. Why, you know, because yes, she's, you know, they have a lot of the younger members on the team, but you think about her personality, I would say she, once again, is also more old school, not strike force.
I think that's Power Girl trying to balance out the team.
Oh, okay.
Because Power Girl talks about Stargirl being on there. I think,
yeah. And I liked when they addressed that, because Stargirl was another one that I was wondering, why is she on the team? She would have fit better with the old school. She gets along with them. She, you know, she's part of it. But, you know, when Power Girl's talking to her,
think about in like role playing games and in games like City of Heroes and Champions and things like that. I was thinking I'm playing a lot of Dragon Age Origins, and your teams work a lot better if you've got people from multiple classes on your team. So if you take a look at what Cyclone brings to the table, Cyclone can attack people from a distance. You've got a lot of ground people on, like, okay, let's see who we got on this team. We've got Our Man, who attacks from the ground, Damage, who attacks from the ground, Kid Chimera, Magog, you know, who's more of a in-your-face, Judo Master, Steel. Mm-hmm. These are all ground-based ones. Cyclone's a flyer who can attack from a distance. Power Girl, flyer as well. Not from a distance, but she's still a flyer. You've got Stargirl, who's a flyer. They kind of balance out the team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I understand that. It
also seems, though, that they deliberately pulled some of the younger characters because they don't have... You know what it is? I'll tell you exactly. I'm going to take back what I'm saying right now, because I've just figured it out. You know why these characters work? They're the younger characters that do not have the background baggage. The only one who does is Stargirl. She's been around the JSA the longest. She's been around since the first series, the previous series before this one. The rest of these characters, the Hour Man's the new Hour Man.
Okay.
Damage, King Chimera, Magog, the new Wildcat, Judo Master. These are all new characters who do not have the baggage that the old school guard does in the way of operating. Yeah. So you're dealing with, these guys all come from the Golden Age belief. Terrific clearly is part of that. Obviously Jesse Quick is. The new Dr. Fate is more in line with that. Mr. America comes from that philosophy. Yeah. He wants to be that rich traditionalist. These are all people, it's not about the traditionalist nature of it. They want to move in a new direction, move forward. Why wouldn't you pick these people? That's why in Justice Society, we'll have to talk about JSA All Stars, Power Girl and Stargirl have that confrontation because she's more of a question than Cyclone. Cyclone can be trained to the new philosophy.
Oh, definitely.
Stargirl's entrenched in the old philosophy. So I think Power Girl actually explains it better in there. I'm going to take back what I'm saying here. Let's go. That's the reason why.
Okay, cool.
Because they're the new guard and they're easily trained to the new philosophy.
Now, and on another note, for me, actually, I did question it, but I was really glad when I saw it because I love the way Freddie draws her. It just absolutely just, stunning the way Freddie draws Cyclone. I really was like, yes, this is outstanding.
I like the two teams.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about the two teams, let me clarify that. I like the two JSA teams, but I also like the two creative teams.
Yeah.
I think that both of them have, they're different enough, but they complement each other. They're not, it's not jarring to read All Stars from this. We'll have to talk about that as we go into the artwork. This book is really very much so. They feel like if they do crossovers, which they got to do at some point, the two books will not be jarring to read.
It'll definitely be a nice flow and a nice appearance.
Yeah. It's
two very complementary art styles, writing styles, and just it's.
I'm JSA happy.
Oh,
at the
big
moment.
time, big time.
Like the 80-page giant. This last few weeks of JSA has been the 80-page giant. This issue, and then JSA All Stars. Woo. It's gotten to this point. It's built to this, and it delivered. That's the I was really worried, is this going to deliver in a way that the two teams make sense? And it does. I'm still wrapping my head around it, as you saw, as we were just having this discussion right now. But I think that's neat to talk about that, because I do think that we're in that place right now. We're learning why they're going this way as the story gets us there.
Yeah, and it's funny because you think about when we first really started with this, I had no idea who the JSA was or any of that stuff, and now I'm all JSA happy with the new teams. Oh yeah, this is and this looking into it and looking deeper and beyond what it is. So that's just it's the layout, just the pacing, just the development of these teams, of this event, of this, happening that's going on in the title, that it's just but it's still, it feels right. It feels natural progression of these characters, of these stories, of these events.
I was incredibly worried because since JSA, and I'm talking about the previous series, kicked off with issue 1, I started reading after Starman. That's what drew me into it. I'm like, okay, Robinson's kicking this team off. It's going to be great. I need, I want this kind of fix. It fell into that category. I was so worried that after all this time, after Goyer took over and Johns and went straight on through, it's been perfect. It's been just great. It's been the flagship team book for me in the DC Universe. I was really worried that was going to get lost. And this is the month. That's the reason why I really wanted to talk about it on here. This is the month where it's coming together. And it feels that way again. And it's, yes.
Come together right now.
Green Lantern, let you and I destroy that space junk. Green Lantern, let you and I destroy that space junk.
Hey guys, this is Micah. About Black Descent number 5 and the whole Bruce Wayne ordeal. There aren't two bodies, but if you guys remember about Black Lanterns, they can regenerate everything. So if they have Bruce Wayne's skull, and whenever it turns into a Black Lantern, it can regenerate the entire body. And that's all they needed it for whatever transformation needed to take place with all the other guys who previously had died and come back from the dead. So that's what happened there. And whenever they canceled it or whatever, he turned back into just a skull. And the rest of Bruce Wayne's body is probably still in Dick Grayson's vault or whatever that thing is. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Maybe that body came alive too for a while, but probably not. That's probably just the skull for that brief, 5-second span needed to get all the heroes to turn back into dead people. So, yeah, that's what that is, I think. Watch me be completely, totally wrong next issue, but yeah, good show, guys.
I actually do think that's an interesting point.
Well, here's the thing. What I'm talking with two bodies is Black Hand took that skull from the ground, from a body planted in the ground.
Right. But
so where
he's
did
saying the rest of the body, the bones other than the skull. Black Hand took the skull.
Right, but the rest of but here's the thing. You have that body that was in the ground minus the head.
Right. And
then you have this body that's in Dick Grayson's vault. That's the full body. That was a full body there, and that was actually...
I saw that too. You're talking with the cowl on and everything?
Yeah. That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm
bodies.
No, but that's what I mean. That's where I've always gotten the two bodies, because you actually saw the cowl was put on that body.
Right.
So,
and there was an actual head, and it was kind of like that image that Superman had when he's carrying the dead Batman.
Yeah.
That physical body was in Dick Grayson's vault there. So unless
Was
he
there a
took
skull
that,
there?
that was a full body, had the face and everything. So unless they took that body, put it in the ground, and then that was the body dug up for Blackest Night, we're set. But I thought that stuff took place. That's why I was like, trying to figure out timeline.
Part of me is seeing his point, saying that what Dick Grayson actually has is the rest of the body in there, or does Dick have something else? I'm still got a question mark there as well. He makes an interesting point, though.
Yes.
Because that would be that is one possibility on what Dick Grayson's got there. So I don't know. I'm confused at the moment about it, too. I don't have any answers on the whole thing. I'm curious as to what's going on.
Yeah, that's a time will tell thing.
He has posed an interesting point.
Yes.
So I don't know. I'm interested.
Hey, Sean and Jim. This is Micah. I was calling back again this time to put in my 2 cents on Death in Comics and why it bothers me so much. It isn't that, like, the death doesn't bother me as much because they're going to come back anyway, but when you bring certain characters back, what happens is, without fail, other characters get left behind in the shadows like that. For instance, ever since Hal Jordan came back, Jon Stewart has been doing jack squat around the DC universe. Like, he's been on JLA. What has he done in JLA? Sit in a star room and talk to people. Like, that entire run of books has been Jon sitting in a room and doing nothing the entire time, right? And I know he was in Aftermath, the run, so like, that was all right. And that's all he's done. And then Blackest Night, for 5 issues, he's been out in space, kind of waiting. And I'm sure they'll get to him eventually. But he's kind of disappeared. And, I mean, so I've almost completely lost the character ever since Hal Jordan's come back. And it's not just that, but you see it all the time whenever they bring back certain characters, other ones disappear. Like, there's just not enough room in all the comics for every character to be around. And so whenever you bring back somebody who was dead, you lose somebody who actually is still alive. And that's kind of really a bummer if it's your favorite character. Like, if it's not your favorite character, then no big deal. Like, if your favorite character is Hal Jordan, fantastic. If your favorite character, like, in the entire universe, is Jon Stewart, and Hal Jordan comes back and your dude's just gone, well, that's not a lot of fun. That's all. All right, I'll just go. Bye.
I'm actually not going to dispute his point here, but
yeah,
something that's interesting is what was Jon Stewart doing before Hal came back? And he was like a supporting character that would appear in Kyle's book every so often. So Hal's coming back didn't actually change much about Jon Stewart's status. It wasn't like Jon Stewart was Green Lantern and in the forefront and he was carrying a solo title. But he is right that does happen. When characters return. I'm very curious to see what Wally's going to look like. I'm excited Wally's winding up in a co-feature, but Wally is not going to be the Flash. So for me, I'm a huge Wally fan, and that happened. You were a Bart as the Flash fan.
Right.
And he's not going to... Well, he's getting his own... He actually is getting his own... There's a great example, though. He's getting his own book.
Yeah, so it's...
So he is. So, I mean, that isn't always the case, and that isn't true. Now, here, okay, let's go on what he's saying here, because it's an interesting discussion point. Would you prefer Bart to be Flash right now or Bart to be Kid Flash in his own title?
I'd prefer Kid Flash in his own title now.
But your attachment to Bart came from him as Kid Flash.
As Kid Flash,
so that's not exactly the best excitement. But you are getting what you wanted.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm really Flash happy because I'm getting what I want, and through Blackest Night and through Rebirth, Flash Rebirth, I'm really liking Barry. So I'm like, okay, I got a good Flash. I'm getting Bart back. All right, I am a win-win situation in this case. Now I understand because I'm
not disputing his point. Actually, because let's go back to Jon Stewart now.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart is a character that has been underused.
Big time.
I don't think it has anything to do with Hal's return. It's a character that, like, I'm waiting for... They've been alluding to, like, some big stuff with him in Blackest Night. Let's get there. I want to see more of Jon Stewart.
Yeah, they're building something huge, and like, okay, let's see the huge, and let's see after Blackest Night a usage of him. Because I agree, Jon Stewart is a great Green Lantern, and for a while there, I was actually saying I'd rather see more Jon Stewart than Hal Jordan. When they were doing the whole with the JLA thing where Jon Stewart was going to be the Green Lantern for the JLA, I was excited about that.
Kyle has been handled very well in Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, well, Kyle and Guy...
got a pivotal relationship in there that I think is very interesting, and a pivotal relationship that is really going against what edicts that the Guardians have handed down. Yet he's willing to stand in the face of those edicts because of it. That's why I want Kyle back so bad, because he's an interesting character. I like following him. So, I don't think that universally he's right. So it
happens, and it stinks when it happens.
It does get frustrating because it does if you're following a character. The unfortunate reality is there's two reasons why you would bring back a dead character. First of all, there's an opportunity to generate a buzz and interest in a book that needs buzz and interest again. Second reason would be that a writer has just a phenomenal idea for a great story that character would play a pivotal role in. I'm trying to think of other examples of characters that are coming off the top of my head right now that, a great example of this is Azrael right now. We've got a brand new Azrael in that role. Part of me was thinking, I'd love to see Jean Paul Valley again because I grew up reading Jean Paul Valley. I would not want to see Jean Paul Valley now. Now, if they had a reason that Fabian Nicieza writing this has a reason that he would want that character back again, well, okay, you can lead in that direction because I don't know how long Michael Lane is for the world, depending on where you think it's going.
Yeah, I got a couple ideas on that.
I like him.
Yeah,
though I think he's a great character and he's very interesting, and it is very different than what was going on with Jean Paul Valley. So if Jean Paul came back right now and bumped him out, I probably have some issues with that.
Yeah.
Barbara Gordon coming back as Batgirl right now.
I would have issues with that because I do like the new Batgirl.
Yeah, I do too.
So, it's a tough balance on, are you taking the story forward? Now, to resurrect a dead person just for the one pop and not plans on using them, we both don't like that much. Just leave the dead alone if you're not going to do something long term with them.
I can sympathize, though, if it's your character, your favorite character, and they pop in return. Remember Ian Levinstein, for example, huge Kyle Rayner fan. Hal's return for him, it's like, okay, where does that leave me? And I get that side of it. I do, because, that's a very genuine concern. It's, to me, though, if you're going to do that for the cheap pop, that's where it really bothers me versus that situation, I guess. It's, at least make it for a reason other than just... I do prefer authors, though, that do what Jeff Johns has done with... I think Jeff Johns and Peter Tomasi have done a great job with Kyle and Guy. John Stewart has remained in the background.
Yeah, and it's...
But he was there before.
But here's the thing with me. When he was going to be the Green Lantern for the Justice League, I thought that was going to be his chance to shine.
I agree with you.
But he had some pretty cool moments, and they had the potential to grow, but now everything's shifted once again, and Hal Jordan's going to be the JLA, Green Lantern. So I'm like, we had this chance, and we lost it. So it's one of those things that I'm like, I feel his pain because I do like John Stewart. I think
do too. I want to see more from him too. So I'm with him on this.
He's an outstanding Lantern.
It's the more I'm thinking it through, I'm like, well, no, he's a cool character, and he would be fun to see more of him. I don't think that's because Hal is back, though. Hal being dead, they had the same problem with him. They weren't doing enough with him. He's a cool character, so mimicking what he's saying, that's got nothing to do with death. Yeah. I think if there's an interesting character, it's a matter of does a writer have an interesting story to write with that character. I think John Stewart's interesting stories. Maybe it is these writers. They've got a story planned and they've got a direction for him that we haven't seen yet. Or maybe another writer, needs a crack at him. I'd love to see him on a team or something like that. There's a lot of great characters that I want to see spotlighted. And
it's funny because I could even see him on a team.
I'm worried about Vixen.
Oh God, yeah, big time.
Where's Vixen going to wind up in all this? Because she's not on the new team.
Right. And that's something I'd like to see. And I don't want to say 2 JLA books, but I'd like to see another team form. And not call themselves JLA, call themselves something else. And I don't know what they would call themselves or what they would be, but it would be like another hero team out there. I would follow it, but then again, we follow a lot of stuff.
Well, I would, because I want to see, but I'm interested.
I want to see.
But it's not, like, I would follow it because of what he's saying. I would want to see what's going on with those characters. That's part of the problem is there comes a point, though, where DCU is so filled with so many characters, they've got to pick and choose who they spotlight. Firestorm is another character who I want to see more of him when this is all done. I'm going to be curious to see what titles come out of Blackest Night, where some of these characters wind up. He's got a point. John Stewart. Firestorm is a great example. Firestorm isn't on the shelf because Ronnie Raymond came back. It's, there wasn't enough sales on the book.
Well, actually, we kept talking about on Run, Firestorm and Green Lantern, and then when they're together in
I love them
Trinity,
together.
those two, and in JLA, those two
Yeah.
make a great team.
They do.
And a title between those two, I don't know what situation you would call it, but just a title with those two on the same team would be outstanding.
So I don't think that has any. I really don't think that has anything to do with death in comics, because I think you can bring a character back and still utilize a character. We've seen that happen before. I think Guy Gardner, Hal's coming back. Guy Gardner is an example of a character who's only thrived because he's got more of a prominent role in the DC universe now that Hal's back. So there are characters that now, because characters have come back, we're getting characters that are getting spotlighted because the Flash is coming back. Wally's taking more of a backseat, or is he? What's going to happen with all this Titans shuffle? Where is he going to wind up? I don't know. So it's interesting to see. He's right. That does cause shifts, but I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. The easy answer.
Yeah.
I think good writers, if they like the character, will find something to do with them. Who we aren't seeing right now? Ryan Choi. But I don't think that has anything to do with Ray Palmer being back.
Yeah. Well, no, probably not. But it just
Nobody knows what to do with them right now.
Right. It's kind of sad because any of these stuff that you have Ray Palmer in right now,
Ryan Choi could not be in.
Well,
not the reason why.
Okay.
Think about the reason why Ray Palmer is there.
Right. And the Blackest Night stuff, no. But in the Cry for Justice stuff, I don't know.
Why would Ryan Choi be there? Ray Palmer's there because of his outrage.
Right. Okay.
That would be that wouldn't be Ryan Choi putting that. So Ray Palmer being in that story. If let's say Ray Palmer was not back, they would not put Ryan Choi there.
No. True. Okay. Yeah.
He doesn't fit that character role. They would have another hero who would fit.
Once
in that
again,
spot.
he could be on the John Stewart, Vixen, Firestorm, Justice League team.
I would read that.
I know, I would too. I'll tell you right now, I would too.
Yeah, so I echo. See, it's
So right there, that's 4 members of the new Justice League team.
I'm with him as far as I want to see those stories, but I think it's because we need a writer who wants to write those stories. I don't think it has anything to do with those characters returning. And also, you have to write them in a book that would be marketable. How much would a John Stewart, Firestorm, Ryan Choi book sell? I don't know.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. You and I say we'd buy it. Who else would? And what is the... it's...
I know.
That's the honest... See, that's where we're entering the honest reality of it. What would the sales numbers be on that? Now, John Stewart's supposed to be part of the Green Lantern book, and maybe when some of this is ended...
He'll have a more
Green
prominent position.
Green Lantern's supposed to be the two Green Lanterns of Earth. So it's obviously Hal Jordan's more of the spotlight figure, but that's where John Stewart's supposed to be. We see him in there, but I get his point.
It's tough. It's painful.
It's just I don't think that's an example of where Hal coming back, because he was in that role before that.
Well, the question you want more
John Stewart too.
Yeah, the question you can ask yourself: if Hal Jordan wasn't around, would John Stewart have this larger role? Would the stuff that Hal Jordan's doing now, would that be John Stewart?
No, it'd be Kyle Rayner. If Hal Jordan never came back, Kyle Rayner would still be in that role, with John Stewart and Guy Gardner supporting him.
Maybe it would be John Stewart and Guy Gardner over in Green Lantern Corps.
I don't think that they would have had that book. That book came out of Hal's return. Remember, that came much later.
True.
And it was because of Hal's return generating so much buzz.
They did the recharge. They did the Green Lantern Corps recharge, yeah.
So that wouldn't have happened otherwise. And because of Green Lantern Corps recharge, Hal's return actually started spotlighting characters like Guy Gardner again. Guy Gardner was the winning character in that whole scenario. And a lot of the other Green Lantern Corps members that they started bringing back, and some new ones that they created. Kyle Rayner fared a lot better in that than I thought he was going to. It's interesting. It makes an interesting point as far as characters that need to be spotlighted again, and it does happen. I don't want to completely discount him on that, because the return of characters, certainly it's affecting Wally.
Yeah.
More than anything else. But Wally's book again was selling. I liked it a lot. Yeah. But there were the book with the family. It wasn't.
And
they expected to bring Wally. Bart's book wasn't selling the way they wanted it to. When they when they brought Wally and his family together, that didn't sell the way they wanted it to. There's a difference between I liked it a lot, but what do the sales numbers match how much I liked it? No. I mean, there's a difference in emotion there for me. I've got to be honest about the reality of sales numbers, even though I enjoyed it. So that becomes a tricky thing, and that's why they're looking at Barry as a new direction for the Flash. And it's working. That's where co-features come in. It's almost like I'd like to see the Green Lantern book with a Green Lantern co-feature with Jon Stewart to address what he's saying.
That actually would work. That would work well.
Extend the page count and let's put a Jon Stewart story in there. Tell me Green Lantern readers would not enjoy a Jon Stewart story every month in there.
And even
that's the real answer to what he's saying here.
And they can also do like they do with Black Canary, Green Arrow. Maybe Jon Stewart would be the lead, Hal would be the co-feature, and
or the stories blend together when necessary, where you don't even need, kind of like what we had with Booster Gold and Blue Beetle in the Blackest Night issue. It just when it works. But Jon Stewart is a character that could carry a co-feature. Could Jon Stewart carry a solo title?
I don't think so.
He could in Green Lantern Corps. You could bump him if Kyle stays. Like if let's say Kyle does stay dead. I don't think that's happening in a million years, but let's say hypothetically it does.
He could be.
I would bump him over there.
Oh, yeah, big time. And he could fill that role nicely.
Yeah.
And it would be an interesting character. It would be an interesting seeing him develop, getting used to the Oa politics as compared to being on Earth, and just his interactions with some of the core members that he probably doesn't normally deal with. But solo, by himself, I would buy the book because I think he's a great character, but I don't think there is a high enough volume behind it.
I don't either. And that's
it stinks because he is an interesting guy.
Right.
It's, when they do the stuff with him, I always go, yeah, cool.
And that's the truth. Sometimes characters get replaced by returning characters because of sales. And that's one of the honest realities of comics. It's where the business end comes in. It's kind of a reality. And for those of us that were reading and enjoying those books, Firestorm's a great example of nobody came back from the dead, but that book was canceled because of Vigilante. You and I both liked that book. That was canceled because
Manhunter.
Sales numbers. Manhunter, yeah. Manhunter survived as a co-feature.
Yeah.
Would I love that book as a monthly still? Absolutely. But, that's...
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
How do you think this would go?
Okay.
A Jon Stewart title with Firestorm as the co-feature.
No. I don't think it would sell. I think it would initially.
See, I don't know. That's one. Would it?
It depends on how linked. I'll say this at this point. It depends on how linked it is to Hal's book and Green Lantern Corps. So I guess I should put an addendum on that. I would. I don't know that I would put the Firestorm co-feature on that title until you've got an attach rate to it. But I do think you could launch another Green Lantern book right now and get away with it. Because of Hal's book being there.
Right.
So I think a Jon Stewart book would sell. But then again, that would sell because of, I think to a certain extent, maybe a Max Mercury book would sell. You know what I mean? I'm just saying because of the I think there's certain buzz books that I think would
it's
work.
hot right now. It's
right. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's got to be storytelling there to be told. I think John's a great character. If there was motivation to, could it sell? I think you can get away with it with all this stuff. I think Green Lantern's got enough of an attach rate now that would work. I wish. I don't know. There's a lot of characters I wish were back in books. Ryan Choi was one that I threw out there. I love Ryan Choi.
I know. And
he's a character I deeply miss. Firestorm. His book was fantastic. I read every issue of it. I loved it. That's another book that I'm missing. But some of the characters, they're just not selling the way that, unfortunately. We need more readers in comics. We do. We do. So, I don't know. He makes it. It's an interesting discussion topic because we could probably talk about this for another 2 hours. I'd love to sit down with Micah and have a discussion about this because there'd be an interesting point-counterpoint. We'd probably all be able to see both sides of the issues we're discussing. We've all got those characters that have been bumped out that we care about. So I get that. It's just, you said the cheap death thing. That bugs me still.
That still does bug me.
Why bring a person back and have no use for them? They're just kind of sitting there treading water. So, I don't know.
You filthy criminals.
It is funny as we're having these discussions, you and I were trying to figure out what books are we talking about next and which one we're going to go. And we've got so many to choose from. It's why we knew this one was going to be a two-parter. And it's funny, even after that, we're still going to be left with books that we want to discuss.
Yeah. I know.
Because I do want to take a look back at the Batman universe. I want to take a look back at the Superman books. But one of the ones, and we've gotten a lot of requests to talk about this, is Justice League Cry for Justice. We haven't really discussed this on the show at all, have we? Or if we did, it was very briefly.
I think it was just when one came out. When one came out, we had a discussion, but it wasn't a
full-blown...
Yeah, it wasn't a page cover-to-cover, page-to-page, in-depth.
Well, before we go into issue 5, this has been an interesting series for me. I was so excited because it's James Robinson. I've been enjoying it, and I love the format of it. You know, the fact that we get in the back of it his own dialogue talking about these characters and his history with them and just comics in general. And then we get these great Len Wein, origins. Like we got the origin of Shazam in this issue to talk about Freddy, and I love those. I think one of the things that has been interesting about this series is the state that certain characters are in, like a Hal Jordan and an Ollie Queen. These are heroes who have reached a breaking point, and they're screaming for justice and acting in a way that, for us, is not what we would normally term as superheroic.
Right.
They're searching for deep-rooted. They're acting out of anger over deaths of friends, over injustices in the world, and trying to take excessive action to finally put a stop to it. Permanent action, I should say, maybe more so than excessive.
I'd say excessive as opposed to permanent, because they're going for the preemptive strike.
Right.
This isn't about reacting to the bad guy showing up. This is finding them before they can do wrong. Take him down. We know this is a bad guy. Let's take him down hard, and make sure he or she thinks about it before the next time they strike.
Where it's working for me is that morally we're seeing them start to realize the error of that. They're starting to wake up a little bit, and gradually we see it with Congarilla and McCall, especially this issue. And I like that we're seeing these characters, the main characters in this, gradually come back to the realization that isn't. We need real justice, not this other kind of justice.
Yeah, we need a real Justice League, not a Justice Strike Force.
Right, exactly. So that has been where it started to grow on me. So it's been, when I've been reading this, I've been angry at some of the behaviors of some of the characters, but not because
it's poorly written, but because of these are our characters and this is your friend.
So I haven't known how to feel.
Right. Yeah. So I've never once said, "Oh, this is badly written," but I've been angry at some of the stuff. I've been angry at some of the people dealing with it, but it's because I can so associate with these people. Mm-hmm. I associate with them as if they are my friends, as if these are coworkers and just colleagues of mine. That I'm like, okay, and I understand your pain and I understand your anger, but come on, dude, you're a hero.
It's been a very dark book.
Yes. Oh, definitely very dark. And the Ali Dinah scenes where I really wanted to reach in and just start smacking people because I'm like, dude, come on, you two are in love. And I like the fact that they do catch them a couple times on it saying, hey, what's going on here? Come on, guys, listen to the way you're talking. And I thought those were some really good just insights in dealing with, because when you had a couple that's been around so much, you have ways to dig at each other. You have the ways that hit below the belt that just flare up the tempers. And that
it also fits what's going on in their own book, though, which I thought was really interesting, because I'm like, oh, this is really bringing in where they're at in this book. And we're finally seeing her dealing with the reality of where this took her.
Yeah.
What happened with the Justice League. I need to see more of that. I'd like to see more of her reaction to all that. And I want to see her come full circle and, really confront that, and we see her step up. So I'm hoping, if not in this book, that we do get to see that. I was glad to see it finally being addressed on some level from her, because we haven't seen it.
True. And I tell you, it's funny though. We're talking about I love the opening sequence at Buddy's house. And I love how the kid wanted to go out to the pool. He's like, I don't know if you can, because Corey's out there and she's not always dressed.
Right.
I laughed out loud at that moment, which is so funny because where this thing goes, I started off with that laugh. And then it's just that roller coaster ride. And it's something I really do enjoy about this title. It does have me sometimes reading it twice through, 3 times through, just to get a full grasp on everything that happened. And this is one of those titles that I don't read this at night. And it's because usually with me, I'll come home, I'll be a little bit tired from work, and if I read at night, I'm not really paying 100% attention. This is something I read, when my comics come out, I read this on Saturday, usually. The comics come Thursday, but I'm usually too tired on Thursday or Friday, after work. Saturday, I get up, I'm nice and refreshed, I'll pull this out and I read it. And this is one of those books where I really need to focus on what I'm reading. And it's just the style, as you said, it's a little bit darker than the regular dun-da-da kind of stuff, but there is a lot of hidden stuff and just layered in the writing style.
I agree. Now, one of the things that's interesting about this is this miniseries originally was meant to be a contained miniseries that was not leading to James Robinson taking over the Justice League. I would love to know what has changed in this. As far as what that story was supposed to originally look like. Like, what characters are appearing in here now that weren't supposed to before? Like, was Donna Troy and Corey supposed to be in here? How is this supposed to look? And I'm willing to bet a lot of this has changed.
Yeah.
Thematically, the miniseries is still the same, but I'm sure that we're at issue 5, we're seeing some changes to appearances and where they're going and setups for... I'm guessing that this is going to end right around the time that we're going to see the new team in the Justice League book.
Yeah, I'm assuming that.
And this is leading to that.
And I really don't think that they were supposed to be in the book.
I don't either.
And it's something I bet you that... But it's actually kind of neat why they're in the book initially, because this is their way of getting into and getting Congrilla and getting Micah up to the JLA satellite.
Although maybe Animal Man was supposed to be.
Yeah. As just the connecting piece.
Right.
But this is a great way to have Corey and Donna there because they have such a good connection. So I don't know.
Because of the way that they were in 52 and all that. So
maybe because she's had
maybe Corey was supposed to be there. I don't know if then maybe Donna was brought in. I don't know. I would
These
love
are
to
guesses.
know.
Yeah.
I would love to know what has changed because I guarantee you some things have. Maybe they were more subtle than I'm thinking. But and then we get to that interesting confrontation where we're seeing Justice League members who are having a mixed reaction to what these guys are doing. Roy is right there for him. He's standing right behind him. But not everyone else is. Some of them are calling them out.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's kind of curious. The bits with Hawkman were great.
Yeah.
Just standing behind Ray because of how long they've known each other. He's right there for his pal. And I was kind of glad to see that, especially with what happens in Blackest Night.
So obviously this takes place before Blackest Night.
Oh, yeah. That's very, very clear at this point. Well, that's it has to, because some of the characters here are presented, like if you look at Vixen, nothing on her leg.
Yeah, and Plastic Man's not all messed up. Yeah.
Right, so this is before all those events have happened.
But it's also after Dinah walked from the team.
Yes.
So it's, it's kind of weird, the timing and where it is.
Now, Batwoman, I thought she was supposed to have a more prominent role in this.
Maybe she
originally.
Will. Yeah, I thought she was going to be in the new team and not Dick.
Well, I thought she was supposed to be in this.
In this? Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading that. I like Supergirl in it. The team lineup is really good. This bit with Batwoman and Endless Winter, I really enjoyed. Well, seeing how right now they're hunting down Prometheus, and he's sending villains to places where they don't normally go for the purpose of shaking up and causing distractions.
Yeah, it's really a diversion, and I like they figured that out here, that it's a sleight of hand, activity. It's not going to be, look at the right hand while the left hand's picking your pocket. And I think that is a great usage of the villain mindset. And
the Beastman, Equus, and stuff like that being sent to the different places, But the Batwoman segment visually, what do you think of the art in this?
Oh, I like it.
I do too.
It's definitely I do like the just the style. Once again, I wouldn't want this on every book.
No.
But this fits here. And especially because this is a little bit, as we said, it's got a little bit of a darker feel to it, a little bit of darker theme to it. So
let me ask you this question, because you say that a lot, and I'm not saying you're wrong for it. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Is there a style that you would want on every book?
No.
Okay.
No, there's never...
Because that's one of the things I truly like. I like that this book looks and feels different. I enjoy that flavor.
Yeah, it's...
And I like... I like
variety is a spice of life. It's,
especially with comics, to me, half the fun is visually seeing something as different as the writing's different. a James Robinson book is not going to read like a Jeff Johns, a Greg Rucka, a Gail Simone, Grant Morrison. These are all, each of those writers that I read off have their own unique flavor to what they do, and the art should be just as unique. It's great to see more Hawkman. As I flipped open the page, I was sitting here right now, and I'm like, it's bittersweet for me. That listener voicemail we were just dealing with Micah. One of the things I've noticed is all these characters returning to life, and they killed Hawkman.
Yeah.
So maybe I take it back. Maybe he's right.
Yeah. Now, one thing I do wonder with the Firestorm, though.
Yeah.
Because that's not Firestorm, the current Firestorm. Yeah.
Well, that is. Oh.
Yeah.
That's an error.
Yeah. See, you think that's an error?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not Ronnie.
Yeah.
Ronnie's long gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an error. That's clearly an error. Where he does not look either. Yeah, that's an error. That's a great example of one. No, good catch. Because, I agree with you.
And I can't take credit for that. Someone on the forums commented on that. And that's, I was like.
No, but I agree with that.
Remember who.
That's not.
Sorry.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I'm really enjoying the art, but that's definitely an error in that particular part. Because that does not look like Jason. The rest of them are great, though.
Yeah.
I like Carter. I like, all the other characters drawn there. But no, that's an error. I mean, right is right. That's an error. So it's an... Who do you have characters that ideally you'd like to see on the Justice League? I thought it was kind of an interesting as we're looking through this, because there's a whole bunch of people in this room. Like, who out of this room right now would you like to see on the? I know there's probably people out of the room, but who out of this room would you like to see on the Justice League?
Actually, I kind of like the lineup they got going in there. I think you do need a Green Lantern.
Okay.
You do need a speedster. And I definitely would like to see either Green or Red Arrow. Mm-hmm. Now, after this issue, I think Green Arrow is our main option, unless, you never know. But now the Hawks are an interesting thing. When they first, because they were first introduced with the Hawk, with the whole dealings between Hawkgirl and Roy, and I really liked that relationship and just how it was all turmoil and all that. Part of me would like, if we're going to have Green Arrow on the team, I would like to see Hawkman on the team. Just because...
Hawkman alone or Hawkman and Kendra?
And on one hand, I would like to see them both, but part of me does like one power, just the one of them on a team. So it is a tough thing for me because it's my experience, my real experience with him has been less on a team. And those two less together. I've never really seen those two together.
Kendra and Carter... Really,
just my reading experience. I'm talking.
Right.
See, part of me, if ideally, I would say a Hawk title, and those two together dealing with their stuff.
I'd love to see that. Yeah, they worked well together on JSA.
Yeah,
because they were together on JSA for a while. I loved this moment though when Ollie is telling Roy, give my grandkid my love.
Yeah,
and Kendra makes the motion, tell her I said hi too. And he has that pause, and he goes, sure. And you see Carter looking on.
Yeah, those two just
eyeballing
each other.
Awkward moment that you know that would work that way because they aren't together either.
Yeah.
So that was a great pivotal moment there. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to... We see Ollie here justifying his actions, but it is clear because Prometheus was someone they couldn't beat. That was the reason they're there, not because he's seen the error of his ways. And she makes that distinction. And I did like that moment where she's like, so the only reason you're here is because it didn't work out with Prometheus. Otherwise, you'd still be globetrotting around. This would not be a moment that we're having.
Right. And we're talking just, about who I'd like to see on the team. I really did like Dinah as the leadership role. Mm-hmm. And that's something I was sad to see when it ended. I would like to see her continue on and just, take, and it's even the current team that's as dysfunctional as it is. I would like to see her build it back up and bring it back. Even, Plastic Man, Vixen, have Firestorm, have the John Stewart Green Lantern, Dinah. They could make that into a team. They could make that into an actual Justice League team. But I don't know, as we're getting we're getting set for this new team coming in, I can't knock it. I can't really say, oh, no, I don't want, because there's going to be some interesting stuff going on. It's going to be a very large team, and I'm curious to see how they're going to play off, how they're going to have all of them at one time. Are they only going to have this person, and this person on it, and see who can be present and who's not going to be able to, who's going to be available. I don't know. It's one of those things where I got to sit back and wait and see. I have been enjoying this story, and there's some stuff in here that I do question what's going to happen next. The big ending of this issue really had me going, what's going to happen here? But the lead up to it, I liked seeing how, Kongorilla gets there, how, they're all getting together, and you're getting this whole assembly of a team. And I liked it. As soon as Kongorilla got there, he could smell something's not right.
Right.
Something's not right. He's here. And I'm like wondering, okay, what's he talking about? What's going on? And what did he pick up that nobody else did? And even Supergirl noticed it earlier where she said, hey, where's Freddy? What's going on here? And it's, I like seeing just those little clues leading to what's going to happen down the road. And it was something I didn't see coming at all. And it was something that was outstanding.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at the artwork in this. I'm really spending some time looking at it because you pointed out the one coloring flaw. And the artist did the coloring and the drawing on this one. It's got more of that painted style. I actually really like the artist, and I really like the art. So it's a very, very pretty book. I'm noticing a couple other things, like on this one page where, buddy, this isn't a good time. Donna and Corey, it's great to see you, but we have a situation. Vixen's coloring's a little off there, but yet I'm looking at it and I'm admiring the artwork because I think it's very pretty artwork. Some of the coloring is spot on. So I'm finding tiny little flaws, but they're things like it doesn't take it away from my... Does it take away from your overall appreciation of the art?
No, God, no.
Like Corey's color, I would prefer Corey's color, for example, just preference thing. It almost seems like if I'm looking at the beginning of the book, it looks like her color's a little bit darker there than it is in this particular scene. But, I mean, personally...
Well, here's the thing. I didn't notice the other coloring. That came from the forums. Somebody else noticed it.
No, but I'm noticing this. I'm noticing
this
as I'm looking through it. And, I mean, I'm being honest about it as I'm noticing these flaws. I'm still like, I really like this artist, though.
Oh, God, yeah.
And, I mean, I think that's something where this is a really fun artist that I'd like to follow to see the growth. Because that's fun. I mean, it's okay, so we got some flaws here and things, but it's great. I really am enjoying the art.
Yeah. Well, like an example of just beautiful artwork.
But there are flaws. I mean, that's true. And I mean, that's okay. I mean, I'm like, but on the other hand, I can see the flip side of it where some people are like, those flaws really anger me. I find them interesting here, but do they bug you?
No. Unless it's something really like,
Yeah. Well, the Firestorm one, I think, is, even though you said it was pointed out by the forum,
yeah,
that's a little more glaring in the sense that it's not clear that it is Jason.
Yeah, it's something like what would anger me is if Superman had an orange cape. That would anger me.
Yeah.
Something glaring like that would anger me. Like now with the Firestorm, and even that Vixen point, I didn't even see that one.
Yeah, I get it for people that it does.
But yeah, it's we keep saying
everyone has their own preferences when they look at a book. So I don't think having a different preference invalidates another one. I find it. They are definitely here, though. I happen to really like the drawing. There's a lot of colored sequences that are absolutely breathtaking, so they're outweighing, for me, the flaws.
Yeah, the one scene that I just absolutely love is when Supergirl first meets Kongorilla. She's like, who are you? Hello. And she's getting ready to introduce him. She's like, we don't have time for that. Just the look, the way she is drawn, painted, colored, this is an absolutely beautiful picture.
Yeah, I agree.
This is one of those things where I'd see an image like this and I completely would forget about the stuff that happened. Like the very page before that, you have the Vixen who is a little bit off-colored. So that image right there
is like on Guardian. Yeah. When Guardian shows up.
Oh, God, yeah.
I loved the handling of Guardian with his helmet and the way that all that, there's a shimmer to it.
Yeah.
And, his whole presentation. So this is an interesting art, and very interesting artist.
Let's talk about Roy.
Yeah, well, this was honestly the thing. Why did I really want to talk about this moment? What do you think this means?
I think he doesn't have an arm anymore. One thing.
But I'm guessing we're going to get from him a robotic arm or something. He's not out of the game. Do you think he's out of the game?
Well, one of his best friends is Cyborg, so I'm thinking he's got a pretty good chance of getting a fake robotic arm.
But I'm hoping they don't shelve him because of this. I'm hoping this might explain, like, for example, Titans are being led by Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Could, this give a little bit of a change why he would wind up on that? Or, are we going to see him supporting cast? Or are we going to see... I don't know.
Yeah, where are we going to see him?
I need to see him somewhere.
Yeah, and especially after that last Titans issue that was him and, his daughter. I thought that was just a great issue that, he's a great character, and I don't want to lose Red Arrow. Now, he may go back to, being Arsenal if he's got, prosthetic arms. It could be something change up with him.
I like that Congorilla's not all animal rage.
No.
He's there, and he left because he was enraged about Prometheus. He sensed him there. Like you said, we're not quite sure what that was like. Was it smell? Was it something else? Some other instinct working in? But he does pause here and shows heroism in the sense saying, hey, he's lost all this blood, cauterize the wound because you've got powers like Superman. We've got to go. Now let's go get the guy who did this.
And then he lets out the gorilla yell to let everybody know.
Right.
I thought that was a cool thing.
Especially knowing that McCall would pick up on
it. Yeah, I thought that was just a great play on how he was doing it.
Now, we do see a transition point here for Ollie, and a moment where we see Ollie kind of come back into focus. And it's due to Dinah.
Yeah.
We get to that moment where I was talking about the shimmer on...
You see the reflection of Ollie as he's saying, let's go get this son of a...
That's where, for me, why don't the flaws bother you? Well, yeah, they do. So I'm not going to say that they don't. But then when you get to stuff like that, I'm like, okay, that is really cool.
And just the look at Ollie, the way he's drawn there, you're right. That is just an awesome
stunning
look. Yeah.
So, there's so much stunning in this that it outweighs the flaws for me. So that is interesting, but I like discussing the fact that they're there because they are noticeable.
Now, I took it that Shazam isn't actually Shazam. He's somebody else disguised as Shazam somehow. And he's the one who did that to Roy. He's the one who took down Colin Gorilla and the Flash. Or he's being mind-controlled. Because, earlier you saw Supergirl say, hey, where'd Freddy go?
Oh, that better not be Freddy.
Yeah, I don't think that's Freddy.
Or Freddy, at least of his own free will.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm wondering. That's what I was wondering. That was my whole thought when I first read this. I was like, "What?" Then I started. After the second read through, I saw her slip away. Go, hey, where's Freddy at? See her slip away. I'm like, oh, okay, that's where. And then I saw the gorilla. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's Con Gorilla. Flash somehow. I'm like, okay, because I don't remember Flash really involved in the other stuff. I'm like, okay, so Flash stumbled upon him doing some, trying to get some information from the Justice League. This is the way they're stealing from the Justice League by using it someone either dressed like Freddy, disguised as Freddy, or mind control of Freddy. Not sure which way we're going with it yet. My guess is someone disguised as Freddy, but how could you disguise as the hero and slip past the regular security features that they have to have?
Where did Flash come from?
They showed him running around and dealing with stuff, but they never showed him. Yeah, they never showed him actually arriving. I think he arrived, saw fake Freddy doing something, and fake Freddy took him down, which is what drew Con Gorilla. Then Roy comes in the room. Hey, what's going on here? And gets the crud kicked out of him, gets his arm ripped off.
Because he's nowhere earlier in the issue other than that Dr. Spectro bit.
I think he showed up, and Flash is probably the first one to see the fake Freddy. Fake Freddy takes down Flash. Roy sees that going down. He gets taken down, and Con Gorilla and Supergirl show up. Gorilla's down. Yeah. And then then we ended with Supergirl and him throwing down.
I do want to see next issue some explanation of this.
Yeah.
I'm liking this book though. It's I sound kind of tentative because there's some things that, like I said, the behavior of some of the characters, because it's the way they're supposed to be behaving for the story.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with it. You know what this reminds me a lot of? Flash Rebirth, the initial issues of it. I felt this way in that book because of how dark the place was Barry was in. Like, he was unlikable. There are moments in this where Ollie's unlikable.
Yeah.
Because he's doing things that you really just want to smack him in the head. You don't want to see him doing. But then, like what you said, like that power moment where he steps up and goes, "You're right," I really like it. The artwork in this I enjoy. It's an interesting book to discuss because am I through the roof with it? No. Would I drop it? No.
Yeah. I'm definitely really into it to see where this goes.
Yeah.
I want to know, is that a fake Freddy? Is that mind control Freddy?
Yeah. So I'm into this, but it's because I want to know how this team gets to where it's going to be. This is one of those books that I feel I can't judge until the end. Like, I need 6 and 7 to really see, because it's a mini-series and it's crafted to be a story like this. I'm still really tentative on this as far as where to place this, as far as how do I feel about it. I've got to admit, I'm honestly tentative at the moment. Some of the artwork is downright gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's keeping me going. That's why the flaws for me, I'm kind of like, all right, yeah, they're there, but, it's woof. Some of this is gorgeous. There's some great writing in this. There's some parts where I'm like, huh?
Yeah, it's that the Roy thing.
I am left with some huh.
Yeah, that Roy thing, I really do, because if we don't see that in other titles, if we don't see Roy dealing with a fake arm or a prosthetic arm, that's really going to have something for it. I'm going to be
at this point, where are we seeing Roy other than this?
Titans. Because I don't remember seeing him in Blackest Night at all.
Right.
But he's definitely was in the Titans issues.
But when does Titans take place in relation to this? Obviously, right now, we know it's before this.
It's Titans way before this.
Right.
Because the team is still kind of, in a messed up place.
Right. So that's not contradicting anything. So we haven't really seen anything from Roy that contradicts this.
Right.
So
eventually,
so far, so good.
Yeah. Eventually, there will be a time difference, and that's when I want to see. I want to see something.
You know what I'm going to say? I'm really into this book, and what makes it work is, for me, I am incredibly interested in this stuff at the end of the book.
Yes.
Robinson directly talking about these characters and their histories. This is crafted in a way that's really smart. That's what's putting it over the edge as far as the story right now. It's very dark, and it puts me in that place where I'm just kind of unsure about things right now. But then those things at the end and the format of this, I like. And you talked about before how I wouldn't want every book crafted this way. Well, I don't think you can't do this with every book that you write, but I think it works in a miniseries format where you can do some of these spotlight things and then have these great little Len Wein origins. Wow. I am in a place where I don't know how to feel right now.
Well, I honestly, I can say I'm enjoying it.
I'm. It's not like I'm the chopping block.
Yeah.
I don't mean it that way. It's how does this book make me feel though? And usually I can tell you at the end of one of our sessions like this. Wow, I'm through the roof. I'm not in that place with this yet, and I think it is because it's a mini and it's crafted in such a way that by the end I'll be able to give you.
You need the full story by the end. Yeah,
I'm not able to give you an answer right now. I'm not saying you're wrong for you. I think you're in a different place.
I'm in a little bit different place than you because I actually am anticipating what's going to happen next.
Oh, I am too.
And I'm looking for me. That really, I'm looking forward to what's going to happen next. I have theories. I'm thinking outside of the pages, and when I start thinking outside the pages, that's for me takes it to a level a little bit higher than I don't know where I'm at now.
Flash is like Where's Waldo for me right now, though. That's the part where I want to know about Freddy. Specifically, I want to know about Freddy. Like, what is the deal there? So that I'm intrigued for the next issue. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Because he can't be. What did Prometheus do to him? That's Barry, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I think that's Barry.
How did he get there?
Transporter. I don't think
or it's Wally. I don't know.
I honestly think that it's... What's going to happen is probably...
That's part of the reveal?
Yeah. I think that's going to be part of the reveal.
Okay.
Why, And
that's why I said next issue could correct all that for me, seeing it. So that's why I'm kind of like... I'm tentative at the moment because I'm not 100% sure how to feel at the moment. But I'm into it. Enough that I'm excited for next issue. I wish it was here now. Because I do have a lot of those head scratching questions.
There's a lot of questions, but it's for me, It's not I'm not, as excited about All Stars. We're thrilled about All Stars. This is not the same level.
You are more excited about All Stars?
Yeah, I am more. Oh, yeah, I am much more excited.
You're not as excited about All Stars.
Well, I'm not. What I meant to say is I'm not as excited about this as I am about All Stars.
Right.
That's what I said in my head. What actually the words came out was wrong.
Yeah. I guess the crafting of this is very different to me because it's crafted to be a miniseries.
Yeah.
So I guess it is really reading that way. Rebirth and this are a pretty good comparison for me, where that Rebirth is a series that has picked up and picked up and picked up over time, and we're seeing a lot of the payoffs of what was set up before. I think there's a lot of setups going through this right now that by the time 6 and 7 hit, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, this is so cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely anticipating some good payoff.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm in that place right now where I'm not down on it. I'm just kind of... I'm in an interesting medium place.
Right.
And Flash Rebirth, I felt like this during parts of it. And then it paid off dividends. So, I don't know. Fun.
Holy caffeine!
Jim, our next episode, actually, one of the books for sure we're going to talk about is Detective Comics.
Yes, 100%, because I really want to talk about that.
Yeah. We wanted to wrap up talking about Batwoman, and we just didn't get to it this time. I'd like to talk about some other books in the Batman universe and some other Superman universe books, so those will be for sure, too.
Cool.
I don't know how many of those we'll get to, but I think let's revisit those, because we can talk casually about those books. So next episode's definitely Batwoman. We're going to talk about some Dick Grayson for sure. I'd like to talk. We'll talk a little Monel and what's going on.
I really want. Yeah, Monel was awesome.
Secret Origins.
Secret Origins.
We'll talk about as well. Maybe some other things. I mean, that's. That's why I thought we were going to do 2 parts of this, because I wanted to talk about some of these things. So those will be for sure next episode, and then we'll see what else we get to. This was fun. I liked kind of doing this because, not for those of you that weren't listening, Jim and I made a list of a whole bunch of books we wanted to talk about, and just when we got here today, we just started picking books up in order just based on our interest in chatting about them at the moment. So this episode kind of flowed organically that way, just based on our own interest to talk about that, which is something we don't usually do. So it was a lot of fun to kind of do a brainstorm list of books that we want to talk about, and the ones that we just listed are ones that we didn't get to talk about this week that we definitely want to talk about, and there'll probably be something added to the list based on what arrives between now and our next recording.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to remind everybody about the Raging Oscars. Please send to senseiofwhatnot at gmail.com or call us on our voicemail line. Please do those voicemail calls separate if you have other comments that you want on sooner. Because when I hear it's one for the Raging Oscars, I will save that and set it aside to hold on for that particular episode. Our sponsors for this episode are DCBService.com and InStockTrades.com. I want to remind everyone over at DCBService.com, this is the time to check out the brand new deals of the month. So that's DCBService.com, your pre-order source. Over at InStockTrades.com, JLA Avengers, the trade paperback. 208 pages of an interest. Have you read that?
I have not read that yet.
Okay,
but
that'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
Definitely
looking forward to it. I'm really excited about this one. This should be kind of a cool moment.
Picked by Kent Hare. It's regularly $19.99, 47% off, $10.59 from InStockTrades.com. So it's a nice, cheap one, too. We're in the holiday season if you're looking for a book. We are going to air that in mid-January. So we'll be chatting about that in mid-January. So you got some time to go ahead and grab that book. And Jim, want to remind everyone to check out RagingBullets.com with lots of listener-produced columns, Where's Whatnot Nows, DC release dates. I'm putting up stuff all the time from the DC MMO, that Justice League Crisis movie. We're on some of these lists where they start sending out media releases, so definitely check out the website. But a lot of original content up there that are from listeners and
we got some
like
cool
that.
blogs.
Yeah, that's kind of fun stuff, so definitely check that out. And if you have anything that you want to send the show, any comments or things like that, that's ragingbullets at gmail.com, or again, our voicemail line, which is 1-440-388-4434, or Dr. Norge on Skype. And we will see you next week with a whole bunch of other stuff. Then the following week, it's going to be Preacher. We'll wrap it up.
Bye!